Wildcat Stadium in Destrehan, Louisiana. Crescent City Sports is proud to bring you the Louisiana High School Football Game of the Week. Tonight, it's a non-district matchup in Class 5A as the East Ascension Spartans head down I-10 to take on the defending state champion, Destrehan Wildcats. Hello, everybody. I'm Ken Berthelot, along with Wade Kaiser, Chip Merritt, our producer, and Matt Merritt on camera. And we've got the makings of a good one when these two teams play, even though if you looked at the records, Wade, you'd say maybe not so, because Destrehan 2-0, they're outscoring opponents, let's just put it this way, by piles of points. We'll give it to you later. And on the other hand, Ascension starts with 2 losses.
Well, they start with 2 losses, but 2 losses if you look at where those came from.
Yes.
Zachary, who's a perennial power in the Baton Rouge area, and then, of course, that team that everybody knows and everybody can relate to up north Louisiana, West Monroe, that football powerhouse out of West Monroe. So, you can just look at that schedule and see what they've done, and they're getting ready for their non-district schedule, which will start in 2 weeks for them.
Yeah, you start off with Zachary, West Monroe, Destrehan, either state champions or state champion contenders every year. Then you go up and play Ash Alexandria Senior High. They're coming to East Ascension. Then you play De La Salle. Then you finally get into district play with St. Amant, Walker, Denham Springs, Live Oaks, and Dutchtown. But they'll be ready. They'll be ready for district play.
Well, they'll be ready for district play, and it's a tough district in District 5, 5A, no doubt about it. And I said 2 weeks. It's actually 3 weeks, as you said, Ken, with St. Amant, and then Walker, Denham Springs, Live Oak, and Dutchtown. It's going to be a tough schedule for those guys, and that's why they're playing that tough non-district schedule.
On the other side of the coin, you look at Destrehan, and wow, this is a team that just continues to roll. When you talk about streaks, this team has it all. For Destrehan, they're on a 16-game win streak, the longest in the state, which includes the 4 playoffs and the state championship game, beating Ruston last year. No easy task, but also they have won 24 regular season games in a row, going back to the second game of the 2020 season. So Coach Marcus Scott, he's found the magic formula to put wins on the board.
Well, the magic formula is real simple. Good hard work, right? Good hard work equals success on Friday nights, and that's what Marcus Scott brings to the table with his coordinators, Greg Boyne, his offensive coordinator, Greg Boyne, and his defensive coordinator, Tim Taffy, and a great coaching staff that puts together really good game plans each week, and they go out there and practice to execute them on game night, nothing more than what good football programs do.
Well, in the preview for this game with Les East on the pregame show on 106.1 out of New Orleans and the Crescent City Sports, Ken Trahan, the original network of Friday Night Football. One thing we know is that fans will be watching this game tonight to see 3 players from Destrehan perform. Shane Lee, the running back, how good is he? Anthony Robbins, the Ole Miss commit, and he's Mr. Everything. And then on the defense, he'll play both ways. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you've got Collage Cobbins, an LSU commit, might be one of the best players in the state. And when it comes to defense, we're going to talk about and tell you what to watch for on the screen tonight with Collage Cobbins, because he's got probably the best first step of any defensive player in Louisiana high school football.
Well, he's also on your Butkus watch list. All right, he was last year's tackle leader and sack leader for Destrehan, 6'2", 210-pound senior. And when you talk about first step, it's not only his first step, but it's what his eyes are seeing. It's so important that what he's seeing with his eyes, he can translate into his body movements, and his body movements takes him on that first step to wherever it is he's got to go as a linebacker. Absolutely, they are talented. They have a great group of players. They have young players coming up in their feeder program. They're well coached in their feeder program, talking about Destrehan, that is. So in the foreseeable future, you can definitely see good things for them down the line.
Yeah, and when you look at a Destrehan program, you're talking about a program that's proud. They got a proud tradition here. They won 6 state championships at Destrehan, including the one that Marcus Scott just won last year, beating Ruston. They went back-to-back in 2007, 2008, so that's 3 of the last 6. But this is a team that's just always competing and always making a run at something. They've been in the semifinals 8 times in the last 10 seasons, including the last 5 in a row. They've been to the finals twice, and of course they finally pulled the plug and got over the hump last year for Marcus Scott and got the state championship. So when you look at you take an overall look at what he's accomplished here, you know how hard that is to do, Wade, as a former coach.
Well, it's hard to do year after year after year. You know, he's an outstanding football coach. He's done a great job every place that he's been, every stop that he's been at. He's done a great job not only building a program, but also maintaining a program and taking a program that has been good year after year and maintaining that level of success and excellence. He did a great job taking over after Steve Robichaux retired, who for years did a great job here at Destrehan High School. And like I said, you can only see good things happening for this program down the line. Plus, let's just say this. It's River Parish football, right? There is high expectations in River Parish from the northern part of the River Parish all the way to the southern part of the River Parishes on both sides of the river. Expectations by the fans, by administrations, by student bodies, by the players in the programs are extremely high. River Parish football, some of the best football in the state of Louisiana.
Yeah, you better believe it. And look, you're personal friends with most of the coaches in the state. And you know Marcus Scott, you know Steve Robichaux yourself. You know how much out of your life coaching and keeping programs at a high degree of success takes out of you as a person, takes away from your family. Look, coaches like yourselves and Marcus and everybody, it's the family, it's the wife, it's the kids. Everybody has to be on board to let you guys do what you did to accomplish what these coaches do. And look, you take nothing away from East Ascension because, man, hey, goodness gracious, you got a coach in Darnell Lee that's got a good program here also.
Or Darnell Lee took over a few years ago, and you see nothing but excellence in the direction that he's taking that Spartan program to. He has a great group of coordinators. Scott Pellegrin, his defensive coordinator, and his offensive coordinator, Tyler Gaspar. They do great jobs making sure their kids are ready to go each week, getting them in the right places, making sure their eyes are doing the right things and taking those first steps that they need to do what the job is that they're asked to do. So it is an outstanding football program in a very good football district, District 5, 5A.
Yeah, and look, East Ascension lost a lot of players from last year. They lost about half their starters on offense and defense, and they lost their biggest playmaker, Samuels. His last name and his first name is escaping me now. He's at Memphis now. But when you lose your biggest playmaker and a whole bunch of people, this, you could say, could sort of be a rebuilding year. But to make sure these young kids get ready, and you're going to see two young quarterbacks today, two sophomore quarterbacks, one for each team. But you want these guys to face tough competition before you get to district play, because district play is where it's at.
And they've got to be clicking on all cylinders, and they've got to be reaching the peak of the pinnacle and making sure that all of the small issues, any type of timing issues, anything that is holding them back is gone by the time they get into that district schedule.
Well, you see them, the Destrehan Wildcats took the field right there, and they know what's on the line for them. They just want to keep the streaks going. They have so many different ones, but the regular season streak, as we said, they've got the overall streak of my goodness, when you look at it, it's a streak city. So 24 regular season games for them, and just in regular season alone is very, very special. And here come the East Ascension Spartans. Well, as we said, East Ascension dropped their first two because they played against what would amount to the SEC West competition, losing to Zachary 24-7 and to West Monroe 34-20. And they're going to try Destrehan tonight, whereas the Destrehan Wildcats have won their first two, gliding past Bonneville 48-7, and then defeating John Ehret 24-7 in a game that could have been a whole lot closer than that final score looked. I don't know if we can pick up the invocation in just a moment, but we're going to have the invocation read by one of the, and said by one of the dance team members of the Destiny Debs dance team for Destrehan. And her name is Cecilia Cody. She is the daughter of former New Orleans WWL TV sportscaster Scott Cody and former WWL television news anchor and caster Jill Jesus. So Scott Cody and Jill Jesus, their daughter Cecilia Cody, will be saying and giving us the invocation tonight.
Tonight's invocation is given by DHS sophomore Destiny darling Cecilia Cody.
So there's the announcement for Cecilia Cody, and here she is with the invocation.
Help us today to have a safe, fair game free from injury. We ask you to protect us as football players, cheerleaders, band members, color guard, and any other spectators. We ask you to keep us kind and respectful towards others in the stadium that we are in. Most of all, we ask for an amazing game and a safe trip home. Amen.
Please remain standing as we honor America. Pride of Destiny plays the national anthem, followed by the DHS alma mater, presenting the colors tonight are Lieutenant Colonel Leah Dunn, Captain Jaden Williams, Senior Master Sergeant Ramia Walker, Master Sergeant Ivan Lee, and Technical Sergeant Austin Thomas DeBone.
Well, don't know if you heard that, but here's our national anthem, which will be followed by the Destrehan High School alma mater. Our national anthem, performed by the Destrehan Wildcat Marching Band. All righty, we're listening to the alma mater, and everybody's getting kind of excited about this one. I'm excited to see Collage Cobbins defensively, and you'll see Anthony Robbins all over the field. He'll play offense, defense, he'll return kicks, maybe return punts, and then Shane Lee, and explain this to me, Wade, because I don't understand it. You won't hear a commit by his name because you'll hear people say, well, he's not heavily recruited because of measurables and analytics. I've watched this kid play. Shane Lee can run the football. Shane Lee has heart. I don't know what anybody's measuring, but I'm measuring the kid's heart, and he can go. He took this team on his back last week against John Ehret and made sure that that game didn't get away in the second half.
Measurables, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me. How can I put this delicately?
That's why I threw it to you.
Recruiters go out. They are assistant coaches in major Division I programs. They have to bring back kids that can play, that also fit. In some programs, there's a group of measurables.
Yes.
If the person doesn't fit the measurable, then they are not put high up on the recruiting board, and they'll move on in another direction. It doesn't matter whether they can play, not play, that sort of thing. Usually they can play, right? Shane Lee can play.
Yes.
In the end, it isn't about measurables. It's about whether or not they can play. Shane Lee will be playing someplace next year in a college football uniform at the Division I level.
And let me tell you, coaches.
And if it isn't in a program that disregards him because of his measurables, then he'll be lining up against that program and disregarding him because of his measurables, and he will use that as a chip on his shoulder to make sure that he lets them know what they missed out on. This goes on every year all over the country, and it will only get rougher now with the event of the portal, right? It just makes it tough. It makes it tougher for high school kids to get recruited now in the recruiting game because of this portal.
Absolutely.
Right? So some of your kids without the measurables will fall by the wayside.
Well,
but they will end up playing somewhere.
Later on, you'll have to give us examples of measurables. I know one thing. I'm measuring this young man's heart, and I saw him take Destrehan on his shoulders with just under 200 yards in the second half alone out of his 248 for the game last week.
Yeah, 20 carries, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, just to keep pounding the rock the way he did last week against a really good football team in John Ehret. You know, he can run the football. He'll be playing Division I football someplace next year, and you never know. With the portal, he might end up in one of those programs that disregarded him because of the measurables.
Yeah.
And end up playing for them after he proves himself after 1 or 2 years in another Division I program. That seems to be the direction everything's going today, right? I mean, with this portal stuff.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on the portal. That's another story for another time.
Oh, listen, I hear you. Caleb Johnson to kick off. A bunch of people deep. There's actually 6 deep from the 32 back to the goal line, including Jason Blackburn and Jeremiah Wilson. We're off, and this one is dropped by Blackburn, but he picks it up and will return out to the 20-yard line, so no harm done, as that's where they'll put it in play. 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line, and we'll see a young sophomore quarterback, 5'9", 182-pound sophomore Hudson Browning, getting the start as he has in the first 2 games. They're grooming him for a good, solid 3-year career here at East Ascension.
And he's number 44, folks, so do not let your eyes play, tricks on you. Right? Lining up at quarterback, he didn't want to get rid of his 44. He likes it, and you can play with any number back there as long as it's a back number.
And they'll go out of a pistol and just run it right up the middle, up to about the 23-yard line with Taj Washington carrying on 1st down for a gain of 3.
Another really good football player on that front for Destrehan, number 54, Arrington Adams, was the 2nd leading tackler last year on that state championship team. Avoids the block right there, steps right up and puts a great form tackle on the running back.
Washington again, this time a big hole. He's got the 1st down and more, and he is past the 45, fumbled it out of bounds. So East Ascension will retain possession. He's all the way up to the 48-yard line.
Looks like he kind of pulled himself up lane there as he was crossing the 50-yard line. Watch right here. He kind of gets a little less giddy up in his step, and he goes down right there. I hope he's okay. I don't know if it's a cramp or if it's a hamstring or what, but he pops the counter play. You get the kick out by the guard and the wrap by the tackle coming backside. Nice hole. No one in Destrehan's defense was there to meet him, and he gallops down to the 50 as he's walking gingerly off the field. Yeah,
26-yard gain to the 49-yard line. 1st down. What a play that time by Big Taj Washington. But credit the offensive line. They opened up the big hole over on the right side. Jeremiah Wilson, a junior running back, will come in place of Washington, who, as we said, looked like maybe just a cramp. You hope it's not a hamstring. He'll get the call over the right side. He's across midfield down to the 49-yard line of Destrehan, where he is brought down.
Brought down right there by Mid Gilbert. 53, wrapped up again also by Arrington Adams. Really active linebacking group with Cobbins, Gilbert, Adams. Those guys seem to get everywhere, right? They've got really nice set of eyes. As you said, they've got great first steps.
Well, some jumping on the line, and this one may be against Destrehan. Well, the right side of that offensive front for East Ascension has been strong. Your center is Derez Queen, your right guard Kendrell Green, and Colin Netter. He's a senior. He is the right tackle, huge guy. And Adam Wiggins is actually lining up on that offensive line on the right side. So they are loaded heavy to the right. And this time the run is over the left guard, past the 40 down to about the 38-yard line. And once again, that's Wilson on the carry. So it's a slow, methodical drive by East Ascension, but it's working as they move it down to the 37-yard line.
Now, Destrehan's got 8 people in the box, right? That's a huge offensive line. You've already mentioned the guys from East Ascension. That's a big group of guys up there. And talking to Greg Boyne before the game and Tim Taffy before the game, they're talking about the size of that East Ascension offensive line.
Right up the middle, and then a cut over the left guard, left tackle slot, pushing down to the 30 on first down, and he picks up a bunch more. So this is just old-time, smash mouth, 3 yards in a cloud of, you can't say dust anymore, turf football, and it's working. Down to the 32, gain of 5.
It's rubber that's down there under that turf, right? A yard of cloud of rubber.
And pellets. Second down 5 at the Destrehan 32. This drive started at the East Ascension 23-yard line. You can see Hudson Browning, the sophomore quarterback, walking up to the line, making sure everybody's got the call. Hand off again to the running back. They're using a one-back set this time, met and pushed back, but he will gain a few to the 30-yard line. He got 2 yards, and then he ran into a train going the other way. And that train was led by Bryce Buffkin, number 58. Saw him on your screen.
Bryce Buffkin steps in and makes a nice stick, and a bunch of guys there in Destrehan Wildcat jerseys rallied to the ball to knock Wilson back.
This time Jason Blackburn, who returned the kick, is in the backfield. He gets to the line of scrimmage and hits a wall and is pushed back by 3 Destrehan players.
Elijah Cobbins comes from his outside linebacker position. They're having him playing at the bottom of your screen here. Watch him squeeze down the line of scrimmage right there. Makes the first initial hit, allows everybody else to rally to the ball, and they knock him backwards. Elijah Cobbins reading, crossing over the face of the offensive lineman there to be able to scrape down and make the play.
They're going forward on 4th down. Let's see if they're going to try a long count to see if they can draw Destrehan offside. 7 on the play clock. There's the snap on 4th and 3. Coming to the right side, breaks a tackle, gets the first down, and he's down to the 21-yard line. A nifty move before Blackburn, or by Blackburn. Beautiful.
Yeah, Blackburn runs the counter again right there. Great kick out by the guard. Good wrap around that time by the fullback, Caleb Davis, number 36, who's kind of in the H-back or in the hip spot, some people call it, right in the nub of the offense, lining up in the backfield. He was the wraparound guy that time, and he cleans everything up by walling off the linebacker to spring Blackburn.
On first down, Jeremiah Wilson is the back. Big hole over the left side. Wilson scoots through it. He's inside the 15 and pushing down to the 14, the 13, and chugging for more yardage. It's going to be close to a first down. Let's see. And he will get the first down on that run, so he picks up 10 on that one down to the 11-yard line.
J.T. White, the outside linebacker, or strong safety, up on the line of scrimmage, comes straight up the field that time and creates a huge void. The guard didn't even have to kick him out. He wraps up and gets on the linebacker, and then the fullback wraps himself around, gets up onto the other linebacker, huge hole, and the Spartans are in business inside the 10-yard line.
First and goal. This is Wilson. Wilson running left. Wilson down inside the 5. Everything has been on the ground. East Ascension has not thrown a pass on this drive, and that was the 10th play of the drive, the 11th play of this drive coming up, and they have taken almost half of the first quarter on this offensive series. 6 minutes and 10 seconds to play in the first quarter. This is the first possession with the football. East Ascension started at their own 23-yard line.
All right, the first thing the defensive staff from Destrehan is going to have to do when they get off the field and they get to the boundary is they're going to have to adjust to the counter play. Somehow they're either going to have to change their front, they're going to have to start either pinching their outside linebackers down, or they're going to have to get somebody else into the box and maybe make it a 9-man box, which then creates issues out on the edge. But somehow they're going to have to stop the counter play because that is what East Ascension right now is eating them up on. It's a kick out with a wrap, either coming from the fullback or the backside tackle. Somehow, some way, they're going to have to get an extra guy down there in order to stop that.
I think that was Bryson Martinez, the left tackle, that came off the field. Well, it's 2nd and goal now at the 5. The 10th play of this drive. Yes, folks, the quarterback, Hudson Browning, can throw it. We watched him in warm-ups. He can zip the football, but he has not thrown it on this drive, and we've got an official's timeout.
The other thing East Ascension
is the hydration break?
Yes, it is. The other thing, Ken, East Ascension is doing, they're lining up in a double tight formation, and they've got 2 wide bodies lining up out there at those 2 tight ends, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, 2 big guys. All right, number 99, Aiden Joseph, who's normally a defensive lineman, he's 6 foot 370. He's lining up out there on the left.
Yes, he is.
And I didn't get the number of the big tight end lining up on the right, but he's another big defensive lineman that is lining up out there. So now you've got
sometimes
a ton of size.
Sometimes it's number 68, Adam Wiggins, who's an offensive lineman. And
right.
He's been on that side. But, again, you're looking at a guy who's 315 pounds, 6'1", 315. So, yeah, those guys can push.
They've got a lot of size out there right now. The problem also is by giving a double tight formation that is forcing Destrehan to bring those outside linebackers, or they're rover linebackers. They go by all types of different names in defense today, up onto the line to be able to adjust the extra gap that 2 tight ends, especially big guys that size, are giving you, which is creating a problem for Destrehan.
Well, by running the way they are running, they have literally taken Collage Cobbins and Anthony Robbins out of this defense. And they've forced the line to make plays, and by the time Cobbins and Robinson can come out from their defensive back positions to make a play, there's big yardage being racked up by East Ascension. And now we've got timeout Destrehan. So Destrehan saw the lineup and called a timeout. What's the thinking here?
Well, it could be a couple things. They want to see what type of offensive formation East Ascension was coming out in, so that way they can counter with what they're going to do with their front and their secondary, their coverage, right? Or the second thing they're going to do is if those 2 big guys are still in playing at the 2 tight end positions, they might decide to somehow either walk another safety down into that box, get an extra body, or they might end up deciding that they're going to slant to one of those 2 particular guys to see if they can get an extra half a man in the direction that they feel they might be running. It's a chess game.
When you've outscored your first 2 opponents 72-14 like Destrehan has, you can see East Ascension saying, let's keep the ball as long as possible. We've now kept it for half of the first quarter. They got it. They got the opening kickoff. There's 6 minutes on the clock. 2nd and goal from the 5-yard line. The running back is Wilson, the sophomore quarterback. Browning taking his time, making sure everybody's got it. And look at that powerful offensive line. Handoff, big hole, left side, and scooting into the end zone for the touchdown, Jeremiah Wilson, a 5-yard touchdown.
Well, it's all East Ascension's offensive line there, right? This whole drive was East Ascension's offensive line. Pound, 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 the counter play, misdirection. Here's the counter play again, good look at it. You see the fullback coming out and around, sealing off the inside. Nobody sets the edge. Nobody sets the edge for the Wildcats. You got to set the edge so that way somebody can force the running back inside to the pursuit. Nobody there. He walks into the end zone. East Ascension up 6-0.
An 11-play, 80-yard drive. The kick is up, and it is good. 7-0. East Ascension leads, and they have monopolized the time of possession in this first quarter. 6 minutes and 4 seconds to go, those 80 yards on 11 plays. All on the ground, not one pass thrown.
Well, that's their MO. They like to run the football. I would too if I had an offensive line that was that large and that stout, right? I would want to pound it. I would want to definitely keep the ball out of an electrifying offense that Destrehan has. So I'm going to try to make sure that I eat up time and I keep the chains moving and stay within the chains. Pretty clean drive. Didn't see many miscues out of East Ascension. One penalty by Destrehan gave him free extra 5 yards on a jump off sides, but for the most part, everything was real clean, especially by the Spartans. And that's the trick. That's what you've got to do. You've got to stay in front of the change. You've got to stay in sync, I guess you would say, on game plan, and you want to try to make sure you eat up enough clock so that way it denies that electrifying offense of Destrehan time on the field.
Jabari Mack is back along with Anthony Robinson. Both excellent returners, and they stand at the 15-yard line awaiting an East Ascension squib kick, which is jumped on at the 30-yard line of Destrehan. So they took the return away from that with McKylan Smothers smothering that ball at the 30-yard line. So Destrehan will take over at their own 30. And they trail 7-0. Another sophomore quarterback, Jackson Fields, who last week didn't throw the ball very much either. 6 for 6 for 137 yards against Errett in the win. 2 touchdown passes. So he was very efficient. He'll throw on first down, and they're trying for a little screen left side, and they've got their man up to the 35, 36-yard line, and that was Jabari Mack.
You know, Jabari Mack, you can't catch him in a phone booth, right? Watch the quick screen out here. Real fast, boom. Reading the numbers. They've got the numbers, 2 blockers, 1 electrifying athlete. Got drugged down by his ankle, right? He was almost off and gone.
This time, Destrehan will try it on the ground. They give it to Shane Lee, and he is piled on. He ran into his own offensive line because the defensive line just stood him up that time, Wade. There was nowhere to go.
Look, Shane Lee gets better when he gets touches, right?
Flag down, by the way.
I think they might get a face mask here. Helmet got ripped off. Look at that. Nice job. There's your face mask right there.
Mm-hmm.
Can't quite see the number on who the culprit was. Ripped his helmet off. That should be 15 yards personal foul. There it is. Okay, look, Shane Lee, Kenny, he gets better as the night wears on, right? He's one of these old-style guys that just wants the football. He gets up Jim Brown style, right? He gets up Jim Brown, eking and walking back and sore looking, and then all of a sudden they give him the ball again, and he just gets stronger and stronger and stronger as the night goes on. Just watch that happen with number 4, Shane Lee.
Empty backfield this time. And the toss is to Mack, who's got it in East Ascension territory at the 45, and he scoots down to the 41-yard line. And that'll be 1 yard short of a first down, so 9 yards on that one.
You know, you're going to see a lot of looks out of Greg Boyne, a lot of formations. You're going to see some RPO here tonight. They're going to get the ball out there into their playmakers' hands, and that also includes Shane Lee catching the ball out of the backfield.
Shane Lee only had 1 catch last week for 6 yards, but he got it in a critical time as Fields scoots downfield and gets the first down and wisely slides. A little bit of maturity by a young sophomore quarterback.
Well, look, he had a lot to learn by the past couple of years sitting behind Jai Eugene, who did everything for that offense last year. Right?
He's at Tulane now.
Yeah,
yes.
Tulane now.
One of the 3 big playmakers that this team lost.
So sitting behind Jai Eugene, he had a chance to watch one of the Destrehan greats, right? And he look, he's a smart young man. He knew when to slide, when to go down and not take that hit right there.
Got the first down, very important. Shane Lee turns and still churns forward to the 35-yard line for a short gain. It's hard to bring down a tank.
Yeah, well, Zachary Jupiter got everything he wanted with Shane Lee right there, right? Zachary Jupiter does a nice job scraping. There he is, 46. Made 1 hit, bounced off of Shane Lee, came back to get something else, right?
Oh, it's a tank, man. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. My goodness. At the 35, second down. Fields on the run. Fields under a lot of pressure. Hit as he tries to throw the ball. And they will say his hand was going forward. I couldn't tell, but it is an incomplete pass. And watch it here.
Well, got to get rid of that ball a little bit quicker, son. All right. Because there's a lot of white jerseys right there coming after you.
It looked like the arm was going forward.
Right, it was going forward, and I think what he needed to do was just sail that thing away. Coverage did a nice job there for East Ascension, had everything covered up, and he just needed to chunk that thing out of bounds, live and take another day, and don't take that hit.
3rd down and 7 from the East Ascension 35. They're bringing the blitz, and he throws right into the area where they were. That emptied out, and catching that ball was Philip Wright. He's all the way inside the 10-yard line, and I think they'll mark it right at the 10. A 25-yard gain, pardon me.
2 receiver slot. 2nd receiver runs the slant. 3rd receiver runs the out. Creates the natural void area right there as the 3rd receiver works to the flat to try to cover up the strong safety right there. In some leagues, they call that a pick, but I won't call that a pick. I'll call that avoidance. Great pass, great throw by Jackson Fields to Philip Wright.
1st and goal at the 10-yard line. Who do you give it to? No, you fake it to Shane Lee. Flag is thrown, and the quarterback Fields running to the right and just throwing it away.
I think we're going to get a hold here, and that hold's going to probably be on number 69, offensive lineman for the Wildcats. Let's see if we can see it up front. Oh, yeah, there it is. He had him gripped by the waist, and he was holding him as the defensive lineman was escaping him. There's your hold call. New rule this year, I keep repeating it because I love it. Right? It's called ease of enforcement, and it's just a smart rule, just like the NCAA. From the spot of the foul, if it's behind the line of scrimmage and it's a touching penalty like a hold, it goes back to the previous spot, and then the 10 yards are marked off. How smart is that? Thank you, National Federation.
1st and goal now from the 20. And they'll try Philip Wright on the end around, and Philip Wright is getting some of that yardage back, but not a whole lot. He's inside the 15-yard line, and they'll mark it at the 14.
Yeah, Philip Wright's got wheels, right? So they're trying to get him the ball, get him out on the flank, let him make his moves, and he gets knocked out of bounds over there on the boundary. It's going to bring up 2nd and goal. From a long way, right? That's you don't like 2nd and goal from your 15 or 14.5-yard line.
Especially when you started with 1st and goal from the 10. So that penalty, that'll hurt you. 2nd and goal from the 14. Big pressure. Somehow Fields escapes, rolls to the right, throws. It's picked off in the end zone and returned. Here comes Harkless. And Harkless with a big interception to halt the Destrehan drive with an interception in the end zone. And you can see a happy number 4 right there in Bryce Harkless, a senior.
Well, Jackson Fields does a nice job keeping his eyes downfield, evading the rush right there, but he just didn't see Harkless. Harkless just steps right around the intended receiver and picks the ball off. And there's our first turnover of the night. You know, when you're playing close games like this, even in non-district, let's just put it bluntly, every football game you play, it's all about turnover ratio, right? Being on the plus side of the turnover ratio. And there's the first big turnover of the evening.
Wow, no kidding. And East Ascension with a big play will start now from the 7th, their own 17-yard line. But more importantly, they halt what was a pretty Destrehan drive, and there's an illegal procedure penalty against East Ascension. So each of these teams moving themselves and hurting themselves a little bit with the flags.
Well, you don't want to start off 1st and 15. All right, you can't do it. I mean, every offensive coordinator in this world that coaches this game is pulling their hair out when you're looking at 1st and 15, right?
Yeah.
It's just unnecessary by your offense.
And you try to run it on 1st and 15. You're staying conservative, close to your own goal line. You get it back out to the 15-yard line, so that's a gain of 3.
You know what's great about this game? It is a chess match played by 11 players, right?
Yes.
That's why the game has 11. Can't have that extra guy. And it's interesting to see when the chess game's played who makes adjustments, what do they do on their boundaries, how do they coach their players up to fix what was the problem in the series before. And there's what you see from Destrehan, 9 people
First
in the
pass
box.
of the game for East Ascension. They're going down, deep down the left side. Chesson was the intended receiver. Flag on the play.
Yeah, with 9 people in the box, it's going to leave them man-to-man out there on the boundary. They were in man-to-man on the wide out. They decided to take their shot. Let's see if we can see the interference. You see the 9 people in the box for Destrehan. There's your man-to-man coverage at the top. They're hip for hip. They're what is called in phase. Just couldn't see it probably. The left hand of the defender, Ty Terrell, had his hip hooked a little bit. That's where the flag came from. All in all, I didn't see much of a tussling there. I thought it was great coverage by number 7, Ty Terrell.
I'm thinking it had to come somewhere else.
Yeah, well,
But, or maybe earlier in the pattern. But, hey, once you mark that off, the 15-yard penalty will move it up to the East Ascension 30-yard line, and it's first down for East Ascension. Told you, folks, that Hudson Browning could throw it, and he showed a little arm on that, Wade Kaiser.
Well, he's got a nice arm. He'll use it when he has to. Everything should build off the running game. They're good.
And they're going to use that running game to churn a lot of clock. We're down to the final minute of the first quarter. And each team has had the ball once. This is the second possession of the game for East Ascension with the football. They took the opening kickoff, went 6 minutes and 4 seconds on a long 80-yard march that took 11 plays for the score. Destrehan answered with a long drive of their own, only to have the interception in the end zone end it. And now East Ascension's looking just to run this clock out at the end of the first quarter. And on 2nd down and 8, they'll just pick up 2 more to the 37-yard line.
Nice stop in there by Jaron McCall, senior, 6'1", 220-pound defensive lineman. He got off the block, shedded the double team, split it, made a nice play.
Yeah, the clock should run down here in the first quarter, and that should be it. After 1 quarter of play, our first quarter tonight was brought to you, and tonight's coverage on Crescent City Sports is brought to you by the Lamarck Motor Company in Kenner. Lamarck Lincoln's is the only Lincoln Black Label dealership in the market. It's more than ownership, it's membership. There must be a reason, says Ronnie Lamarck. And it is. It's the Lamarck family. Dennis, Timmy, Ronnie Jr. The whole gang is there and a whole bunch more. Walk in there, somebody you will know.
Well, that was a quick first quarter. I mean, you've got, the second possession by East Ascension here, and they're just pounding the ball, like you said, and, they're running a lot of clock, and, Destrehan has only had 1 possession this quarter. So, they've got to think about that, right? They've got to think about that if they can't stop this running game of East Ascension, they've got to think about maximizing every one of their possessions each and every time they get their hands on the football. The game goes fast, right? And when that clock's running and sometimes you can't stop the clock, you're not going to get the possessions that you need.
Well, you give it to East Ascension. They have moved well against a defense that is big, that is good, and they've done it by taking some of the playmakers out of the game. You haven't heard a lot of Collage Cobbins, who we talked so much about on the pregame show here and said keep an eye on him. He's number 3 defensively. And Anthony Robbins, number 5 defensively. Cobbins, an LSU commit. Robinson, the Ole Miss commit. So here we go on 3rd down to start the second quarter. And in trouble. It's almost intercepted. It was almost slapped down and intercepted and picked out by Collage Cobbins. We talk about him. There he is. He almost pulled off one that if he would have pulled it in may have gone for the score.
Well, here's the first thing you got to do. You got to block the rush, right? And the pressure was put on by number 89, Gideon Bowman, coming off the edge. He really got Hudson Browning moving there, and he just couldn't see his receivers. And then, like you said, Kalijah Cobbins comes from his side, from his outside linebacker position. He is an impact player. Talking about Kalijah Cobbins, he almost had that pick, and it would have been a pick 6.
Folks, if you can see it when he comes to the line, watch his first step sometimes. He'll drive offensive linemen crazy. And Wade did a good job of explaining that a little bit on the pregame show. It's not only that first step, but what he does after with it. On 4th down, they will punt it away. And it is dropped, picked up, and hello. A lot of people there to make sure that no further distance was going to be made by Anthony Robbins. Unlike Anthony Robbins to drop one like that, you can watch it here. Again, one of the 3 best players, I think, out on this field for Destrehan.
Well, the old adage, you got to look it into your hands. You can't look up because you're hearing footsteps. It's one of the toughest things to do. I challenge anybody in the middle of a high school, college, a pee-wee, NFL game, go back there and have people bearing down on you 100 miles an hour, and you're looking up in the sky and you've got to catch a football. It is one of the hardest things there is to do, right?
Yeah,
it's like standing in against the Nolan Ryan 100-mile-per-hour fastball. And he kind of took his eyes off of that one, and he dropped it. He's lucky he came back up with it.
Well, at their own 35, Destrehan, can they get Shane Lee going? They will try. The great back hits the line, gets 1, and no more as he is driven back, and you're seeing an inspired defense that time. Was that Aiden Joseph over there on the stop?
It looked like Aiden Joseph that time. And if you'll sit there and look at the difference between Destrehan's offensive line and East Ascension's defensive line, there's a huge size advantage for East Ascension. Destrehan, if you look at the numbers of their guys, whereas they're solid, they're good football players, they're just not big guys, right? So, they've got to scheme things a little bit better.
They'll try a different back this time. Not much, though, as, again, East Ascension proving just to be really tough. That was Elias Jones.
When you're a little smaller up front on the offensive line, and believe me, over my career, we had guys that weren't very big.
Let me take that back. Jaden Bailey. Sometimes those numbers are little. A 35 looks like a 25.
Right, and offensive linemen, sometimes I didn't have really big ones. You've got to find a way to scheme things up to be able to block bigger defensive linemen.
Well, on 3rd and 8, they're going to go with Fields. He'll keep and he'll slide, but just short of the first down. He needed to get to the 45-yard line, and he got to the 43.
I think he's going to be a little bit short.
And you've got a player down in Joseph Hobdy, a senior defensive end for East Ascension on the field, and it's going to be 4th and short. But this is only Destrehan's second possession with the football.
That is correct. Just like I was saying a couple minutes ago, that every time they get their hands on the ball, they've got to think that they've got to come away with scores, right? Because East Ascension isn't going to give the ball up. They're going to have success with their run game. If they continue to have success with their run game, then that's going to cut the touches that Destrehan's going to have tonight really short. Look, you're seeing shortened games also at the college level. College coaches are pulling their hairs out right now because of the new rule change with the clock not stopping on first down markings except inside 2 minutes of the half, and it's making the game a lot faster. Colleges aren't getting the number of snaps that they are wanting. So, and all of this is because they're trying to eliminate injuries and things of that nature. Understand. But you've got to make sure as an offensive coordinator that if I'm getting limited snaps, I better make sure that every snap counts.
This is 4th down. 4th down and 2. They're not going to punt. Offense is on the field. 4th and 2. They're trying to draw them offside with a long count. They still have 15 on the play clock. This might just be the old attempt to draw them offside, and if it doesn't work, timeout called East Ascension, their first timeout of the half.
Well, if they decide to go for it on 4th down at this stage of the game, then they realize that their touches, as I've just said, are going to be limited tonight. So is it the time to go ahead and roll the dice and get another touch on this football, right? So if you're going to take away 4th downs and punt the ball away every time, you might be losing 4, 5, 6, 7 touches tonight, depending on how many times you punt that football. They might be thinking odds here, and everybody talks analytics, right? Hey, you're not going to get the ball very many times tonight. We might go for it on 4th down. Dial up your best play on 4th and 2, 4th and 3, and, hey, let's roll that dice. That's what the analytics say.
Well, I think they were just trying to draw him offside, draw East Ascension offside, and when that didn't work, because East Ascension called timeout, I think had East Ascension not called timeout, Destrehan might have just called timeout themselves and then did the punt. So here is Caleb Johnson's punt, and they're just going to let it bounce at the 15-yard line, and it's going to take a Destrehan roll down to the 10-yard line. It looked like it might come back the other way, but that ball took a Destrehan roll, and they got an extra 5 yards out of it.
I don't have any hair anymore. Why am I pulling my hair out?
Because he didn't catch it. Could have saved 5 yards, I'm going to guess. Is that why you're pulling your hair out?
That's it. You got to catch the football. You got to catch the football. You got to catch the football. Put your hand up, catch that football. Don't let that thing roll down inside the 10 and put your offense in a tough situation and give that added hidden yardage to a really good Destrehan football team. Do not give hidden yardage.
Wow. Well, they're 90 yards away. East Ascension is, but they have the football, and they've been doing a pretty good job running it. You can bet they're going to keep it on the ground here, and they do, right side, and that's going to be close to a 5-yard gain.
Let me tell you who's a good football player, Kenny. It's this guy, Arrington Adams, number 54.
That was Taj Washington on that carry.
He has been on almost every play tonight. Now, that has a lot to do with a pretty good defensive line up front that is absorbing a lot of those blocks and allowing him to run to the football. But he hasn't had many misreads tonight, and he's always around that football. That's senior Arrington Adams, number 54.
Same back, same side, over the right guard tackle slot, and Taj Washington still pushing. He's got the first down. It looked like he was dead to naught, and they had him stopped. And he moves the chains.
Yeah, look at this replay. Look at this, Will, right here. Bang, 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits, hanging on, dragging people. Look at that hit right through his arms. Still pushing now. Jace Thomas, number 16, bought a ticket. He's on for the ride. Taj Washington, 5'10", 210-pound running back. He seems to be getting better as he gets more touches also.
Well, he walked off the field injured. We didn't know if it might be a hamstring or what in that first drive, but he's back, he's strong, and he's spinning into the line and is almost at the 30-yard line. Again, this is going to be one of those long drives that you might not see Hudson Browning put the ball in the air at all, because East Ascension, as you talked about, Wade, and as we discussed, their game plan here in the first half is to eliminate touches that Destrehan can put on the football, and they're doing it with the ground game.
And I know white jerseys make you look large, but those guys are some big dudes, man. Look at that.
Yes.
They eat 3 lunches every day. Look at that. Those are some big dudes. I'm serious. They go through the lunch line. I tell you what, you better get your food before those guys come through.
After the gain of 6, it's 2nd and 4.
You know, Destrehan's adjustment, they're getting the extra safety down in the box. They got 9 guys down there. They're playing man coverage out on the wide receiver, the single receiver side, right?
They didn't get much on that one.
They didn't get much on that. And you know, East Ascension is going to have to do something maybe to get that 9th guy out of the box. Maybe spread the formation a tad bit, pull somebody out of there, and then attack an 8-man box with your running game.
Again, keep your eye defensively on number 3 and number 5. If they can move them out of the way, they're going to run up the middle. But right now they're stacking the box. Here it is on a big third down call. It's going to be close but short of a first down, and East Ascension may have to punt that ball away.
Great play over there by Ty Terrell at his corner position coming up there. Also, I couldn't get the other number.
Yeah, it was hard to see in that
right,
pile.
It might have been Kalaj Cobbins coming off the block, making a nice play over there, forcing a fourth down. That's what you got to do in order to stop a running offense like that. Get a lot of people to the ball and make sure that you gang tackle. And don't let them fall forward.
Makes it 4th and 3, so it's a definite punting situation with as we near the 7-minute mark of the first half. Robinson this time holds it. He's coming to the near side, looking for room. Reverses his field, and he can do that. Watch Robinson go. Here come flags all over the place as Robinson got it back to midfield on a nifty 9-yard return that he probably run 30 yards to get 9.
Yeah, when that's coming back,
yeah.
Huge block in the back. You'll see it after he reverses his field. You'll see Ty Terrell just absolutely clean somebody's clock at the top of the screen. In a minute, you'll see it. Here he comes. Bang, right there. Flags coming from all different directions. Those look like overhand breaking balls.
Well, Destrehan gets the football, and you're right, they just haven't had many touches. Their first drive answering an 11-play East Ascension scoring drive was 10 plays when they threw the interception in the end zone. It was 3 and out last time, and this is their third possession with the football, and they've got 6 minutes and 47 seconds to play. This time they'll just go straight ahead and try to establish a running game themselves. They have not been able to get Shane Lee really on track, but not Shane Lee's fault or the offensive line. They just haven't been able to be on the field long enough to get any type of a rhythm going. Shane Lee, number 4.
Well, as I said, as he gets going, as he gets his touches, he's going to get that head of steam going. He had a nice 4-yard pickup on that play.
At the 40, wanted to throw. Too big of a rush, and he is sacked back at the 35-yard line.
RPO had everything they wanted. They had man-to-man coverage out on the edge. Nice fake up front. Good protection. Looks like he slipped up front. Let's see exactly what happened. Oh, no. It was the pressure applied by number 24, Tanner Stronga, coming off the edge. 5'10", 178-pound senior, getting right in the face of Jackson Fields.
Now we'll have the hydration break. And, watching Destrehan play last week against Everett, there were so many cramps. The heat and the humidity out on the field with the hydration breaks, and it was almost every second or third play someone going down and just looking to get stretched out. It's tough out there with this heat and how hot it's been this football season and this entire year for all sports.
Yeah, and we're in the middle of a cold streak right now. It's gotten down to, 94 today? And, for the most part, believe it or not, it's been the humidity level. The humidity level the past couple of days. You're making me laugh. The humidity level that has been down, but believe it or not, that's been the reprieve for a lot of these guys playing. It's about the humidity level, and that's that sling bubble that all these trainers are bringing out on the field, and they twist around, and they want to know what the heat index is compared with the humidity as well as the heat.
Shane Lee had trouble getting started last week against Everett in the first half. There's the toss. Nice catch, but he dropped it after a good hit by, as you said, Tanner Stranga.
Yeah, should have been caught. Hits McKaylin Smothers right in the hand. Senior, 6'2", 200 pounds. Hey, you want to know?
Yeah, but Stanga had a good hit defensively there.
Right.
He really did, and I think he jarred it out a little bit.
You want to know the strength of Jackson Fields' arms? From the opposite hash, almost the opposite hash, he throws the ball to the sidelines on the other side. I see what they see. I can understand what the coaches see in Jackson Fields, this sophomore. He's got a bright future throwing this football for Destrehan.
Guess what? This is the second 3 and out for the Wildcats here on their own home stadium. And this one, oops, he touched it. It's a fumble. And Destrehan's got the football. Well, that's just one of those mental mistakes that'll just frustrate you to death. Oh, my goodness. And if he could have it back, Matthew Collins would like to have that back from East Ascension. Watch.
Okay. The punt returner is supposed to be guiding everybody on what to do. I don't know what. I have no idea what Bryce Harkless is doing right there. He should be hearing from everybody in the stadium in a white jersey and blue trousers saying the word Peter. Peter means get away from the football, right?
Yeah.
He reaches out, and it's like a hot potato. All he's got to do is touch it. Destrehan, Johnny on the spot, very well coached. They get the ball back. Huge turnover in East Ascension territory.
I'll tell you what I think the East Ascension player thought might have happened. He thought a Destrehan player had downed it, and he was just going to pick it up. And then he realized, oops, no, they didn't, and I just touched it and dropped it, and it's a fumble.
Well, number 4 should have petered away from the ball and gotten away from that football and let it die. They'd have the ball right there at that particular spot. Well, look, hold on, timeout. Let's see, did they must have recovered it? What happened?
Well, you see, I think what happened was exactly what I just said. I think that it was actually touched by a Destrehan player and downed first, and that's why.
Okay.
And so it actually was, but they weren't sure on the field, so it made us second guess it up here.
Got it. Well, and I didn't see that. I was too busy chewing number 4 for being around the ball.
And I was trying
because he shouldn't have been around the ball.
Yeah. No, absolutely. There you go. So at the 35, they'll get 1 on first down to the 36. And what a lifesaver there for East Ascension, because that could have been absolutely horrible. And somehow look at Browning as he just escapes everybody. It looked like he was going to be tackled for no gain, maybe a short loss on the play, and somehow he weaves his way through people and gets close to a first down. It'll be 3rd down and 1.
Well, he runs play action right there. That's not RPO, and he's looking at the one receiver route at the top of the screen. And it was very well covered. First thing he did was tuck the ball and take off and run. He wasn't going to make a mistake by throwing it out there and possibly getting it intercepted.
At their own 44-yard line, and on 3rd and 1, just the old quarterback sneak straight ahead. Got the first down up to the 46-yard line of the Spartans.
And again, you can see the size differential. When you see the Destrehan defensive lineman lining up in front of that offensive line from East Ascension, let's look at the size of East Ascension offensive line. Those guys, those are some big guys. I'm amazed by it because you don't see that big of guys sometimes on offensive lines in high school.
Well, they've got a new set of downs at their own 46. Hand off to Washington. Taj Washington met at the line of scrimmage, and it's taken a rugby scrum to tackle him. He's coming in here saying, I know there's been a lot of talk about, hey, Mr. Lee, but I'm pretty good too.
Well, I'm going to tell you who's pretty good again is Arrington Adams.
Yeah.
Bang. Right there. That cat is good. That is a good football player. Called his game last year in the state finals against Ruston, and he was playing. He hasn't left off, right? He had a great game against Ruston that night, as did the whole Wildcat football team against a very good Ruston football team. And Arrington Adams has not let off a bit from when I saw him play last year.
They give Washington a break and bring in Jeremiah Wilson at the running back slot. Hudson Browning, a sophomore quarterback. 2 sophomore quarterbacks playing, I think, pretty smart football for sophomores who are in their 3rd game of their careers.
Timeout call by East Ascension. I think that is
their
second of the evening.
Yes. Destrehan has called 1, East Ascension 2. East Ascension's first was when Destrehan was trying to draw them offside on 4th and less than 5 near midfield. And they called timeout so that their guys wouldn't jump. They called timeout with about 15 on the play clock and said, let's not take this chance. And then Destrehan punted. But the story of this game is time of possession. And I don't have it added up yet for you folks, but I'll tell you, the last 2 possessions for Destrehan have been
It's a lot to a little.
Yeah, I mean it's been 1, 2, 3 punt the last two possessions.
Correct.
And their first drive, a good drive, they brought it all the way down to the 14-yard line, but they threw the interception in the end zone. Second down and 8. Flags down again, procedure. There's those penalties. Last week, when Destrehan and Errett played, there were a total of 27 penalties, 13 by Destrehan, 14 by Errett. And many of them were little procedure penalties, but the ones that weren't took a couple of scores off the board for Destrehan, including a long run in the second half. I believe it was the second half by Shane Lee.
Well, penalties can bite you in your hamstring, right? And they'll cripple you, and it's a killer. That's stuff you got to clean up.
They still go to Wilson on the right side, and he'll be hit and stopped short of the first down. He needs to get to about the 47 for a first down, and he's short by a yard at the 46.
There's Anthony Robinson out there. We've called his name a couple times tonight. He came up from his strong safety position to make a nice play out there on the edge. That's not East Ascension's game out there on the flank, right? Their game is to run in between those tackles with those counter plays and that inside zone run game. Pound the ball behind those big-bodied offensive linemen. Out there on the flank, Destrehan will run you down and make you pay for it.
Well, here's 3rd and 1. You'd think they were going to run it with the big back, but instead, no, it's Browning himself from his quarterback slot. I think he got it, right?
Oh, he gets flushed out of there. And
he gets flushed out of there. No, he just missed it again. Well, they had the...
It was actually 3rd and long.
Yeah, 3rd and long. So now
it's 4th and 10. There it is, and it's going to force a punt.
My bad.
Destrehan will make you pay if you're outside the tackle box, right? Those guys have speed. They can flat run, and that's not, like I said, East Ascension's game plan.
Yep, they're going to punt it. And he watches this one bounce, and it takes an East Ascension bounce inside the 20. So Destrehan will have a long way to go and only 2 minutes and 12 seconds to play with in this first half, trailing East Ascension 7-0. East Ascension scored on their first possession of the ball game, eating up half the first quarter. 6 minutes and 4 seconds to go 80 yards. Destrehan answered with a long drive, got down to the 14-yard line, and unfortunately threw the interception. And after that, neither team has been able to do much. So with 2:12, Destrehan nowhere. At that time, just a lot of white jerseys collapsing in on the charge. Shane Lee nowhere to go.
That was Shaquan Isom from his linebacker position. They tried to run a draw to Shane Lee, and like you said, just no place to go. Shaquan Isom right there, 5'10", 205-pound senior linebacker there to make the play.
Lost a bunch of yards on that one. Second down at about 13, a little bit more than 13, thrown over the middle and just dropped. Wouldn't have been much of a gain, but I know you can see the frustration in Jabari Mack's walk. And it's been that kind of a first half. I think East Ascension, Wade, has done such a good job of just dominating time of possession that Destrehan's a little frustrated they can't get into a rhythm.
Well, sometimes you're pushing so hard you can't get into that rhythm, right? You're a little frustrated.
They'll try the screen left side to Shane Lee. He's got room. He's got the first down. Now you're seeing vintage Shane Lee. Look at the cutback in at Shane Lee. Across the 45, up to the 46-yard line.
Nicely dialed up, nicely executed. Love the screen into the short side of the field, into the boundary. Why? Why you say, why don't you go to the wide side of the field? Why don't you go where you have more room to run? Well, it got into a numbers game, right? A lot of people play their defenses with more numbers. You got to play with 11. They might play with 6 to the field, so you want to attack the side with 5. They go into the short side, and they're very successful for first down.
From the 46, Fields looking. Fields reverses his field. It goes the other way. Flag is thrown. This one may be coming back. That's normally a holding flag. I think that came from the umpire. Let's see as he runs out of bounds, inside the 40-yard line in East Ascension territory, but watch it.
Yeah, there's the hold
there's
right
the
there.
hold, yeah.
You can see it. Yeah, that'll be coming back. That'll be from the previous spot. Jackson Fields, it seems for a sophomore has really nice situational awareness. He wasn't going to force anything there. His first receiver, he looked at the flat, gave a nice little punt, then he was going to go to the vertical route that came off of it, off the double move, right? He was covered and just didn't throw the ball.
From their own 36, Shane Lee trying to find something, breaks 1 or 2 tackles, has his helmet stripped off. He'll have to come out.
He'll come out for one.
See a little frustration even in his walk because he hasn't been able to get on track and couldn't last week in the first half against Errett either. Timeout called by Destrehan with 32 seconds to play in the first half. That is their third and final. I think. Or no, that's their second.
That's their second timeout.
That's their second.
Correct.
Each team has 1 timeout remaining.
A lot of times when you are pressing yourself, okay, and you're going to have minimal touches offensively, you're trying to do things with an S on your chest. Mm-hmm. Superman factor, right? I'm trying to do everything perfectly and make every catch and every block and every read and every pass has got to be perfect. And you're just pressing, right? And then nothing works.
Yeah.
Okay? Been there, done that. So what's going to happen in 32 seconds when they get into that locker room, they will get settled down by Marcus Scott offensively, and we'll see a different offense second half.
Quick toss and a drop this time by Phillip Wright, the second drop here of the first half. He was at the line of scrimmage, wouldn't have gotten much more. They're playing behind the chains right now. And so now with the 30 seconds wait, it's 3rd down and 15.
Right, and talking to Greg Bowen before the game, he's very high on his group of receivers, with Smothers, Wright, Weeks, Robinson, Thiel, Mack, Winfrey. These guys can catch the football, right? And you don't see drops like that. They're trying to press so hard that, they're forgetting to catch the ball first, run second.
Half minute to play in the first half. 7-0 East Ascension. Destrehan with the football. They need something big, something quick. Off the fingertips that time of Wilson. Greg Wilson, the sophomore receiver.
4 verticals coming from the inside third route from his position coming across the field. That's the way you run 4 verticals out of trip spread. Third receiver comes across the field to the hash mark. Ball is delivered against the too high secondary perfectly by Fields. Ball just couldn't get held onto, but we've got a flag, and they're down there discussing it now.
And 25 seconds to play in the half.
Got an illegal man downfield. That is a rough penalty.
Wow. Can't move it back with this little time on the clock.
It's declined. And it'll bring up 4th down.
At the 41-yard line, 4th down, and you can't afford not to punt it here and back East Ascension up as far as possible with 25 seconds to play. Shane Lee didn't want to come off the field.
Oh, I understand. Look, I got so excited about that 4 verticals out of the trip spread formation because they'll come back to that, right?
Yeah.
They will come back to that play. That is something that they will hit somewhere in the second half.
Dron McZeal. And let it run as the clock continues to run. 15-14. They'll blow it dead as they touch the ball dead. Well, East Ascension, I would think Wade Kaiser might be happy with 13 seconds to play, not to try anything too fancy down there.
Don't
and
drop
take
the
a
ball.
7.
Right.
Yeah,
don't turn the ball over.
Look, you've dominated time of possession in this first half. You've got the only score on the board. You've eliminated the touches and consequently the offense of a very strong team that's, I think LSWA and local areas, you're in the top 5. Destrehan was Louisiana Sports Writers' third-ranked team. They're going to let it run out, and that's going to be it for the first half here. At the end of one half of play, it is 7-0, and I want to thank our sponsor for the second quarter. Tonight's coverage on Crescent City Sports is brought to you by the Ascension Parish Tourist Commission. And hey, you've got to be excited and proud of your Ascension, or rather East Ascension Spartans in this game. Ascension Parish is Louisiana's sweet spot, located between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, just off I-10. Check out Homer's House, the Cajun Village, historic Donaldsonville, and so much more. See the full calendar of events. Now, here's what you got to visit right here. It's tricky. Visit lasweetspot.com. That's l-a-sweet-spot.com for more information to plan your next trip. So put those, make sure you put the dashes in there. Visit-l-a-sweet-spot.com for more information to plan your next trip. I want to thank the Ascension Parish Tourist Commission, who's very proud of their East Ascension Spartans right now, coming in here to Destrehan and practically just stopping this team, this Destrehan team, and taking a 7-0 halftime lead into the locker room.
Well, Ken, I think if we were sitting in the coaches' meetings this past week up at East Ascension, they had as their primary parts of their game plan was A, control the line of scrimmage, check mark, they've done that. B, control the defensive line of scrimmage, check mark, they've done that. C, control the number of snaps that Destrehan gets offensively by making sure we hold on the ball and move the chains. Check mark. They've done that. So they're batting pretty much, 1,000 right now with all of the things that they've put into their game plan to make their game plan work. So what's going to have to happen from the Destrehan side? They've got to stop pressing deep offensively. And that's what they're talking about right now. Guys, relax. We know we can move the ball. Let's catch the football when it's thrown to us. Let's stay on our blocks and stop the holding penalties. We will move the football. We will get our running back going. Stop pressing so hard. Defensively, we're going to play with 9 people in the blocks. We're going to play man-to-man out on the edge. We're going to force them to throw the football, and we've got to tackle. Ball game. And these are 2 solid football teams, and they're going to be making the adjustments at halftime in their locker rooms, and we'll see how that will play out as time gets started in the second half. While we're doing that, let's take a look at some of our scores around the state from the best scoreboard from Crescent City Sports.com, your best place for sports every Friday night, to get full, complete coverage all around the state in prep football. Let me give you a couple here real quick, all right? Let's go up there. West Monroe, 28 Delhi Charter. West Monroe was the opponent last week for East Ascension, and West Monroe, who had another coaching change this week, Kenny. I don't know if you saw that in the news, is up 28-0 on Delhi Charter. L.W. Higgins 14-0 up on West Jeff, a battle of the West Bank teams. Carroll 38, Southwood 16. Southside over in Lafayette 14, Karen Crow 19. That is a big battle over in Lafayette. Calvary Baptist, which some people say in all classifications right now might be one of the best football teams in the state of Louisiana, is up 42-0 on Byrd out of District 1 5A in Shreveport. Last night, Isidore Newman continues their winning ways, 37-27 over Benton. Final last night also, Terrebonne with a big win over Lakeshore. Ponchatoula last night beating St. Thomas Aquinas 49-6. Coming into some second quarter action right here. Big game in the city. St. Aug and Zachary, two powerhouses. One from the Baton Rouge area and one, obviously, the Catholic League of New Orleans. St. Aug 7, Zachary nothing. De La Salle, 1 point down from St. Paul, 7-6 is the score. What a close game that is. Thibodaux losing to St. James right now in the second quarter, 10-7. Over in Sulphur behind Lafayette, 21-15. Lafayette 21, Sulphur 15. On the North Shore, Mandeville 14, Walker 7. A couple more scores for you. How about this big one right now going on in New Orleans? And there is a lot of people in the city looking at this right now. Two of the best teams in the state. Edna Carr 14, Warren Easton nothing. Some of the best athletes in the state on that field tonight over in New Orleans. 7-7, Franklinton Fontainebleau. Down in the Homa area, 0-0 ball game between A.J. Ellender and H.L. Bourgeois. Another battle in the River Parishes, a River Parish team. Destrehan will have this big game next week. It'll be the battle of the River Parishes between Hahnville and Destrehan. Hahnville right now up 14-10 on North Shore. Hammond up 7-0 on South Terrebonne. Big battle going over in Lafayette tonight. Lafayette Christian up 16-0 on Jesuit. Catholic of Baton Rouge 14, University Lab 7. Slidell 22, Catholic Central of Baton Rouge, 0. Down the bayou, the battle of the Lafourche teams. South Lafourche 21, Central Lafourche 0. And here's one that you're interested in, Ken, the Battle of the Parish.
The Battle of the Parish.
14-7, those Holy Cross Tigers up on the Chalmette Owls.
Well, wow, a lot to talk about. We'll talk about that. I don't have the exact time of possession, but it's close enough. It's going to be about 7 minutes of time for Destrehan. I'm close on this, and that means probably then about 17. So East Ascension kept the ball 10 minutes more than Destrehan did, approximately, folks. There, we do have a halftime feature for you. Ken Trahan sat down with Lenny Van Gilder shooting, and they came over and talked with Marcus Scott. And if we're ready for that, Chip, we can go ahead and play this. Kenny, take it away. This is Ken Trahan with Marcus Scott.
Halftime here at Destrehan, and Ken, thank you so much, and I've got the pleasure of talking to a friend and a terrific coach and an even better person in Marcus Scott. Marcus, first and foremost, thank you, and once again, congratulations on what you accomplished here last season.
Thank you. We appreciate it, and it's a lot of hard work and dedication from everybody involved with the program.
How special was it, now that you've had time to reflect on it, to be able to get that accomplished? And in 3 years or less, that's tough to do, but you were able to do it. How special was it?
It was very special because we had a great group of seniors, and they were better people than they were players, and that's what makes it special. Whenever you are able to have good kids as well as good athletes, and it makes it very enjoyable.
I remember when you first got the job, Steve's team had gone to the Dome, and then you got the job, and you had to go to Acadiana and play those guys, and you got a good measuring stick against a good program. With a young team, you saw where you were and what you needed to do, and you just got better.
Yeah, and that's exactly what, the 2 years, we lost in semifinals the first 2 years, and that's exactly what I told the staff and the kids, that we just have to get better, and be able to make plays whenever it's pressure field situations. We got to be able to focus and execute.
You've turned out a bunch of college players in 2 years here, and you got more that are being recruited heavily this year, and one that's really not so much is Shane Lee, which is amazing watching him play. I don't care what his height is. I don't care what he looks like. He can run. He's tough, and he's quick enough. Your thoughts?
Yeah, we're kind of baffled by the lack of Shane Lee's recruitment, but someone will take him, and they'll get a really good player and an even better person.
You, of course, have had many mentors. You played at Jesuit. You were an all-district player. You had Mark Sonji. Jay Roth was on that staff. Then, of course, as a coach, you work with Vic Umont, you worked with Hank Tierney, you worked with Timmy Rebo, you worked, of course, after that with even more good people. You became a head coach at West Jefferson in between. Then you went to college, came back to the high school ranks and worked with Steve Robichaux. Just talk about the people that have mentored you and what you've picked up from them and what you've learned and applied to what you do.
Well, try to take a little bit from each one of them. My first job was actually at Clark with Spencer Ross, and who I'm forever grateful to, because he actually got me into coaching. I was actually about to take a job at the bank, and he got me to come out, and I fell in love with it, and so. But Coach Umont, you learn. I mean, that work ethic. Coach Hank and Coach Umont were guys who 7 days a week, just grinders. And then I had the opportunity to coach with a guy named Tim Takel in Texas, who's the Time Landry Award winner. So he's a very accomplished head coach. He was probably as organized as I've ever been around. And of course, Coach Robichaux and Coach Rebo, the way that they communicate with the players and parents is unmatched. I mean, they were able to communicate effectively and get kids to understand, the bigger picture and what athletics, is supposed to do for them and their community.
The transition, you were an assistant coach here with Steve, becoming the head coach, did that help you being familiar with the territory?
It did, and once I got the job, I realized how much I needed to learn, and it's so much that goes into it. And Coach Robichaux and Coach Rebo, those guys made it look easy, but they had a relationship with a lot of the people in the community, and I've had to build those relationships, and it's paid dividends. It's
a great school board. It's a great school system. They provide great facilities, and you're familiar with it. You get good kids here, and you're the first opportunity as an African American to coach a football team. Just talk about that and the special feeling that is.
It is a special feeling, especially when people come up to you that you don't really know, both fighting Wildcats of all racial backgrounds. It means so much to be able to carry on the tradition. Not so much that, that I'm the first African-American coach, but it's the fact that we've been able to come and have success and keep up the standard in which people expect from Destrehan football.
And this community is a togetherness community. It truly is the ultimate community school, isn't it?
It is, and we all get along. It's that's the best thing about our team. We have kids from all different backgrounds, and they work together. They all make it work, and there's a level of understanding from that everybody has to have for each other's culture and background. And I think the coaches do a great job of blending and getting the kids to have that camaraderie.
You've had the great experience here already. So I ask you to go back to your high school playing days. Is there one moment or one game that still stands out in your mind? Was there something that happened in high school in any particular game that you experienced that sticks with you until today?
Probably I had a punt return for a touchdown against Holy Cross, and I believe it was it was a big game, and I think it was the school's 500 win or something like that, so that's probably one of the biggest moments. And then probably as a sophomore, we had to go to Catholic Baton Rouge, and we had to play against Warwick Dunn and Kevin Franklin and those guys in Baton Rouge, and it was just a great environment, and just something that I wanted to be a part of.
One or two moments more with Marcus Scott. Your district, you get into district play real soon. You're playing EA here tonight. Just talk about the league and what to expect from it this year.
Well, we expect the league to be competitive. I mean, we know that traditionally Hornville and East St. John have been, our stiffest competition. But we also know that Thibodeau has a new coach and a guy with some success in his background. We know the job that Coach Washington and Coach Lewis do at H.L. Bourgeois and in Terrebonne, and so in Central Lafourche is with a new coach and a new staff. They on the on the rise, and so we just have to try to continue to focus on what's important and continue to execute.
Easy to schedule, hard to schedule, in particular since you're good?
Yeah, it's always tough to schedule, but at some point, it's going to come down to making sure that whoever we play, that we make sure that we execute and be able to be competitive.
And then last but not least, Marcus Scott, how long can you envision yourself doing this? You see yourself doing this until you're 70, or do you even think about that?
Yeah, I think about it all the time sometimes. But I have a 13-year-old son. I have a 10-year-old daughter. And, obviously everything revolves around them. And obviously, if I'm healthy enough to go on, then there's nothing more that I would, nothing other else that I would rather be doing.
Marcus Scott, successful head coach at West Jefferson. John Ehret, now at Destrehan, is a state champion. Has a good ring to it. Marcus, always a pleasure. Great to visit with you. Nothing but the best of luck to you this year. God bless you and yours.
Thanks for having us.
That's Marcus Scott. Ken, back to you.
Very much, Ken Trahan, and a great interview with Marcus Scott. What a great gentleman. And the head football coach here at Destrehan. East Ascension 7, Destrehan nothing. It is halftime. If you're looking at that and going, what? Huh? Is this the Destrehan Wildcats who have just rolled over all of their opponents and outscored their first two opponents 72-14? Yes, it is. And East Ascension has had Wade Kaiser just, I think, a fantastic game plan in this game, in that they've just kept the ball. They've had it 10 more minutes. They've had it about 17 minutes of the 24 minutes they had, and they've limited Destrehan to about 7 minutes, and 4:03 of that came on their first drive, the Wildcats' first drive. So after that, it was 3 and punt, 3 and fumble, 3 and punt.
Well, that's part of the game plan. I said that's one of the things that they can check the box on, is to eliminate the amount of snaps that Destrehan's getting tonight, and they so far have been successful at it. So let's see if they come out the second half and they can continue with that particular part of their game plan. Now, like I said, over on the other side, that's what Marcus Scott and his staff were making sure, getting through to their kids, that they've just got to stop pressing so hard and see if they can't get back on track with winning ways. Got a few more scores here, Ken.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. Let's check on that.
How about this one? All right, this is a huge one for the megaphone tonight. Archbishop Shaw is up 20-14 on Archbishop Rummel. Definitely
Whoa.
Hank Tierney's got his Archbishop Shaw Eagles back on track there on the West Bank. As Hank would always tell me, it's the water on the West Bank. Right, a couple of more scores, another Catholic League score.
Yeah, there's a little salt in it there lately.
Right,
it's coming up the river.
St. Thomas More up 17-0 on Brother Martin. Captain Shreve up 7-6 on a very good Union Parish team. Got a few games delayed around the state, must be by lightning or by rain. Acadiana, New Iberia are delayed. Covington and Dutchtown are delayed on the North Shore by either rain or lightning. Notre Dame and Crowley 13-0 on Como. Again, still in the second quarter, Holy Cross up 14-7 on Chalmette in the Battle of the Parish.
Hey, I want to give and I want to thank again tonight's coverage on Crescent City Sports. I want to thank Lamarck Motor Company in Kenner, and also the Ascension Parish Tourist Commission. And let's give a little shout out in these final seconds before the start of the second half. Louisiana has got a bunch of national merit semifinalists, and that was announced just recently. A total of 199 from the state of Louisiana are among 16,000 semifinalists named from across the nation out of the class of 2024. This just isn't athletes only. This is scholar, this is students, student athletes, and the like. But we've got some of them. One who's playing in this game today, and that is Destrehan High's Brandon Randall, but also from Destrehan High, Sean Baltzar, Jonathan Dempsey, and Ava Rockefeller. So congratulations to Sean Baltazar, Jonathan Dempsey, Brandon J. Randall on the Destrehan football team, and Ava Rockefeller. And also from East Ascension in Gonzales, two. You got Cole G. Hewitt and David Murphy, none playing on this football team, but congratulations to East Ascension's Louisiana National Merit semifinalist, again, Cole Hewitt and David Murphy. Look, I am impressed when you've got students representing the state of Louisiana, their areas, their schools so well, and
well, the National Merit semifinalist is based off your PSAT when you take it in high school, right? When I took it in high school, I couldn't spell National Merit semifinalist, right? So definitely I was never in the hunt, but I had a lot of friends, and I know a lot of young men over the years that I coached that became National Merit semifinalists. And, you know, basically as they do that, they can kind of pave their way as they move on through their educational career, not only in high school, but also as they enter into the colleges of their choices. And good job by those guys and ladies. You know, that is such a great, great honor, and you need to continue on with your academic endeavors.
You know, I told my wife that together, you and I, SATs or ACTs would have added up, or our grade point averages would have added up to 4.0, and she said, well, I'm going to guess Wade had at least 3 of that.
Ooh, boom, there you go.
It was a tough show tonight. Well, the second half is underway, and the kickoff by East Ascension will go out of bounds. Destrehan had won the toss, deferred, so they will get the ball first in the second half, and being as they had the ball 10 minutes less and for a total of about 7 minutes approximately, with 4:03 of that coming on their first drive, what adjustments would Destrehan have made in the halftime locker room?
Well, like I said, right now you'll know a lot by this first drive. Did Coach get through to them and get into their head and get them to understand, hey, we got to stop pressing so hard. Let's just go back to moving the ball the way Destrehan offenses should, and let's play good Destrehan football and make sure that we stop dropping passes, having a few penalties, and let's get that ground game going, our RPO game going, and let's mix in that pass when we want to, and let us decide how we're going to do those sort of things on our terms, not the defense's terms.
Jackson fields the quarterback, Shane Lee in the backfield. They'll try it on the jet sweep coming around. That's Phillip Wright, and he'll get maybe a yard as East Ascension was keyed for that one.
Yeah, we saw that play earlier tonight in the first quarter. When that ball is tossed like that, that's considered a pass. So right there, that is a completion for Jackson Fields. If it would have been knocked down or somehow misplayed, it would have counted as an incomplete pass.
But only a gain of 1, second down 9 at their own 36. Look at Shane Lee. They opened up the hole on the left side. That time he's across midfield and down inside East Ascension's 45-yard line, down to the 44. A big gain right there for Shane Lee.
What's the cut by Shane Lee? On the inside zone, right, bang, right there, like jump cut backside. Great wall off by the offensive line up at the top of your screen to be able to create the backside hole in the B gap for Shane Lee to cut back into. Great vision, great eyes, great jump cut.
20-yard gain by Shane Lee. And they'll try him again. This time he'll just scoot off, run the daylight. The hole wasn't where it was supposed to be, so Shane Lee bounces outside to the 35-yard line. That'll be a gain of 9 and 1 yard short.
A lot of patience
of a
right
first
here.
down.
A lot of patience. Watch how patient Shane Lee is. Just let it set up, not inside. I'll go ahead and bounce outside and find some running room.
At the 35, Shane Lee showing a little bit of what he did in the second half of last week's John Ehret game. Lee again, they're going to just work him. Again, he slants off the right side when nothing was open in the middle, and he's down near the 20-yard line. Another big gainer by Shane Lee.
You know, I get excited when I look out on the edge and I see wide receivers blocking. Watch Michaelon Smothers out here, number 1, laying a great block on the defensive back, Bryce Harkless, puts him on the ground, allows Shane Lee to get a little bit more yardage. Love to see wide receivers blocking on the edge.
45 yards gained by Shane Lee on this drive alone. This time they go with a different back, and they will toss it to Anthony Robinson. He plays both ways, defensively and offensively. He is the Ole Miss commit. Can't get much as he scoots to the outside, gets back to the line of scrimmage, 2nd and 10.
Patience, finding more of the running game. That's the other, also what they talked about in that locker room. Let's just be patient here. I said stop pressing. Also the word patient. They've gone to a 2-back set now, so that gives them a little bit more of a blocker back there.
And Lee breaks one tackle, and now another. He's inside the 10-yard line. Look at Shane Lee run. My goodness.
Anthony Robinson lining up as the second back in the backfield. They pull the guard, they pull the tackle, they leave Anthony Robinson up in there. They get a wall off. Great hole, great scheme. Nice run by Shane Lee.
Now, you know what that says. Hey, let's put our best backs and get them the ball and let them do what good backs do. All the way down to the 5-yard line. That was another gain of 14 by Shane Lee. Lee this time the only back, but the quarterback will pull it, and Fields takes it into the end zone himself using Shane Lee as the decoy. Touchdown, Destrehan.
Hey, great read by Jackson Fields on the zone read, right? He's reading the last man on the line of scrimmage. You'll see on the replay, what's the last man on the line of scrimmage sink down inside? That is a pull in every book of zone read right there. Great read by Jackson Fields, well coached, young man, reads that last person on the line of scrimmage, he walks into the end zone. That's your answer to the changes that Destrehan made at halftime to get right back into this ball game.
Only took them 2 minutes and 24 seconds to do it, and they tie it up at 7 with the point after, and that looks like Destrehan of old.
Well, but you saw a more relaxed, more in control. They weren't pressing. You saw patience in the running game. You saw them staying on blocks. You saw wide receivers blocking on the edge. And then you saw a healthy dose of Shane Lee running the football. So, like you said, that's Destrehan offense. And it all starts with what was probably said in that locker room at halftime.
Yeah, it took them 2 minutes and 24 seconds to go 65 yards in 7 plays. The 5-yard touchdown by the quarterback, Jackson Fields. And it didn't take long for some good players to unleash themselves against East Ascension. Let's see how the Spartans can respond.
Well, here comes the other side of the chess game, right?
Yep.
Okay, so now we know how Destrehan has answered the bell. Let's see how East Ascension will answer the bell with their first possession of the second half. Are they going to rely on that offensive line just to continue to dominate up front? And let's see what Destrehan will do defensively to help them eliminate their running game.
This one going deep to Matthew Collins. Collins breaks a few. Collins steps inside of a would-be tackler and gets a nice return back just past the 30-yard line. It's going to be close to a 20-yard return and some pretty nifty moves, Wade Kaiser.
Yeah, good moves right there. Sets up nice field position for the Spartans. Hey, I guess you would say the elephant in the room are the special teams, right? Could a big play come later tonight, either in the return game or a key kick or another fumble that we saw in the first quarter in the special team game?
Well, the first possession of this game by East Ascension, they kept that ball for 6 minutes and 4 seconds, just running big number 5 right there, Washington, right up the middle, and he, Taj Washington, 5'10", 210, the senior. He just sometimes makes it happen all by himself, and he goes for almost a first down on the first carry, gets 8 yards, second down 2.
See a huge surge by that big offensive line with white jerseys, right? It's taking everything in garnet jerseys right there and knocking them off the ball. Looks like we had a penalty. unsportsmanlike conduct on Destrehan, so they're going to tack on another 15 yards.
Ooh,
that hurts.
Wow, that hurts a lot.
You can't allow a running team to pick up an extra 15 yards because of some sort of penalty that is unsportsmanlike.
Wow, so the penalty will move the ball across the 50-yard line all the way down to the Destrehan 45-yard line. 1st and 10. Give it to Washington. He'll try the right side, cuts in over his right tackle, and he pushes down to the 41-yard line for a gain of 4.
Again, I just really don't like everything outside the tackles for East Ascension. You know, it's just they don't have that type of burst of speed to get out on the edge and get around the pursuit of the Destrehan defense. I like it when they are running their inside zone game, their counter game, their downhill game in between those big dudes right there.
We talk about first step with Collage Cobbins, number 3. The LSU committee's at the top of your screen on the line. Watch it if they go his way. Fumble. They messed up the handoff. The exchange was muffed. And who's got it?
I bet you that's Collage Cobbins at the bottom of that pile. He's knifing down. Let's see.
Let's see. He may have. He was at the top of the screen. And no, that they had a double team to keep Collage out of there.
It looks like the quarterback, Hudson Browning, fell back on the fumble. Looks like an errant handoff, as you said, Ken, and the ball goes down on the ground quick. That's a quick way to destroy your drive, right?
Whew. Man, you're not kidding. Because now 3rd down. Destrehan shuffling a lot of players in and out to keep them fresh, especially the linemen. 3rd down and 6. Nowhere. That time, the Wildcats really fluffed up the middle. That's Jaron McCall, the all-district 7-5A player, showing why he was.
Seeing a little movement out of that Destrehan defensive line now. They're not as big as that offensive line. We've been saying that all night. So now they're playing with them a little bit, moving them with little slants. I thought I saw a little twist in there that allowed Jaron McCall to come clean to make a hit in the backfield. I mean, I think when you're giving up weight like that, you're going to have to move your guys a little bit to get them on the move. Maybe they can get a half a man towards the ball quicker. Whatever happened that forced a punt.
Now the punt by Caden Gautreaux is scooped up. And again, the very dangerous punt returner, Anthony Robinson, held in check because they had great punt coverage that time, but a good start for the Destrehan defense, and I know a little disappointing that time. The penalty didn't hurt him. That big 15-yard penalty didn't hurt him at all.
Well, here we go, Ken. Destrehan touching the ball for the second time in the 3rd quarter, right? Let's go back all the way to the 1st quarter. How many times did they touch the ball in the 1st quarter? 1 drive, correct?
1 drive.
So here they are. They have already, done what they've needed to do. They're getting another chance at an offensive possession here. So, whatever was said in that locker room is working.
From their own 11-yard line, they're going to play it safe and conservative. This score all tied up 7-7 and a big rugby scrum moving one way, then the other. And when it's all said and done, about 2 yards on the gain.
Look, I don't care what you're saying. They're having trouble moving big 99 Aiden Joseph, 6 foot, 330 pounds. Right? I don't know if a bulldozer can move that guy, right? So, you look at Destrehan's offensive line right there. They're lining up with a guy that's 180. They're lining up with 1-230, 2-230, and 1-280.
3 wide outs to the bottom of your screen. Throws complete. And it's Johnny Thiel on the catch.
Yeah, we saw that earlier, going the slant route.
1st down.
To the number 3 receiver this time rather than the number 2 receiver. A little stop route. He catches the ball and run. Get the ball out there. Get into the hands of your guys and let them go, man. These cats can run. Let's get the ball out there and let them run and then come back with a nice dose of Shane Lee inside the tackles.
This is the hydration break, 5:59 to play 3rd quarter. Yeah, Johnny Thiel had a 45-yard touchdown catch from Jackson Fields last week, and did it with a lot of speed and some nifty moves against John Errett. In the second half of the game last week, and Destrehan was struggling with that game, and coming out of the locker room, Shane Lee said, look, they don't call me beast mode for nothing. He said, he told the press that, he says, I can move, and he said, I can play, and I've decided to take this team, put them on my back, and take them to victory, and he did against John Ehret, and just had a fabulous night. 22 carries, 248 yards last week, but 195 of his 248 rushing came in the second half. 195. He was on fire, and a couple of long runs called back. Good keeper by Jackson Fields. He's got a first down. He's got more. He's past the 45 and up near midfield, but he won't have to sit out a play because his helmet came off. Second time a Destrehan player has lost a helmet in this game.
Yeah, well, there's your zone read again. He was reading 42 coming off of the edge right there. Number 42 for East Ascension was barreling down, chased the ball carrier. Great disconnect by Jackson Fields on the zone read. That was Marvin Regas he was reading coming off the top of your screen there.
18-yard gain that time by Fields on the run for the first down. This time he'll hand it off. It's Robinson. Anthony Robinson's got speed, breaks a tackle. Robinson cut inside, a tackler, and finds his way to the end zone for a touchdown. And now you see why the Ole Miss commit is one of the most explosive players in Louisiana high school football. Anthony Robinson unleashed.
Well, they're running Wildcat there, Ken. Robinson lined up at quarterback. Remember, Jackson Fields had to come off the field for one play because of his helmet coming off, and you see the speed, like you said, of Anthony Robinson right there from his Wildcat position, running the zone read, which is what Fields had run to the other side the play prior. Great play, great cut, great vision. What an athlete. Ole Miss is getting a great player.
Sometimes it just doesn't take them long to score. 1 minute, 40 seconds to take that 14-7 lead. 1 minute, 40 seconds. They go a whopping 89 yards in 4 plays with a couple of big runs, big gainers, including the 53-yard touchdown by Anthony Robinson.
Well, Anthony Robinson is an athlete, right? He can play in the secondary. He can be a receiver. He can be a running back. All right? I bet you he hits a pretty good 9-iron shot, right? This cat can play probably any sport you put a ball around him. And he just showed you his athletic talent right there on the zone read from the Wildcat quarterback position.
Well, not only that, it was once he got going, he broke a couple of tackles, and then the beautiful cutback at about the 5-yard line, cutting inside when it looked like he might get stopped just short, was a thing of beauty to watch. Destrehan with the lead, 14-7.
You can see the demeanor since they came out of the locker room. You can
totally
see
different.
Right, totally different. A little more focused, and as I said, a little bit more patient and relaxed.
Caleb Johnson kicks it deep from the 4-yard line. The return. That's Matthew Collins on the return. Gets a nice return and good field position for East Ascension. Was building up a little head of steam there. So on the far sideline, he goes down at they'll mark it at the 25-yard line. Five minutes and 8 seconds to play third quarter. And now we're seeing a little bit of the explosiveness that has made this Destrehan team so very dangerous. East Ascension took a 7-0 lead. Destrehan has come back to score in their first 2 possessions of the second half. And East Ascension's got to get something going right now. And they do on first down with a little bit of a... Well, hold it. Where are they going to mark this ball? Okay, maybe I missed something there, but I thought he got a little bit more than that. Maybe the knee went down there.
Well, he didn't get more than that because Kalaj Cobbins did a great job making a great play there. All right, Kalaj Cobbins, they flipped him to the right side of your screen, to the wide side of the field now. So they're starting to move him to the wide side of the field to give him a little bit more athletic activity, like he makes a great play right there.
That's Kalaj Cobbins, number 3. Well, keep an eye on him, folks. He's got that great first move, and he catches Taj Washington in the backfield and drops him.
Well, the first thing you got to do is you got to block him, right? Or you got to read him, right? So they run the zone read to the backside of Kalaj Cobbins. I would put Kalaj Cobbins to the backside and have him knifing down. So that's going to force somebody to have to block him, okay?
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the only way you can control the guy. Make sure you have a body, maybe 2 bodies on him, or you're going to have to somehow read him or option him, right? That's what you've got to do to slow him down.
Talk about Cobbins. It's number 3. And here's just a long toss. He's got a step, and what a grab over the shoulder. East Ascension with a beautiful catch by Chesson. And he did not. Wow, Jackson Chesson, an over-the-shoulder catch on a beautifully thrown ball by Hudson Browning.
Well, they had man coverage
All
out
the
here.
way down to the 4-yard line.
Double move out and up.
3.
Corwin Scott was in coverage right there, and he got beat on the double move. He bit on the first out, which allowed Jackson Chesson to be able to get the up on him and to get vertical. Hey, credit Hudson Browning right there by putting the ball out there in one place for Chesson to run under. It ends up being
69 yards.
69 yards and a
First and goal.
first and goal for East Ascension.
Now they line up 99 in the backfield, and if he gets the ball, who's going to stop him but illegal procedure? And when we say they line up 99, that's big Aiden Joseph. That's 6'0", 370 pounds. Watch him, folks. If he lines up in a short yardage goal line situation, you can see him there. You get any kind of a push with the offensive line down close, especially when they were inside the 5, made a big difference. But the procedure penalty now moves it back to the 8-yard line.
Well, they've got to get set. They did not get set. They try to hurry on the field and get up there and do the old quarterback sneak and the shove from behind with with big number 99.
Aiden Joseph.
As you said, Aiden Joseph. And they didn't get set, and it's going to back them out of the inside the 5, and now they're going to have to go back to their standard offense.
Browning will hand it off to Washington. Washington down to the 5. He's pushing the rugby scrum is pushing forward. He is inside the 5-yard line.
It's all about the spot. Looks like they're spotted at about the 5. You look at him. He gets stopped. He'll run right there into a wall at about the 5-yard line, and then all the guys in white are going to start shoving everything in garnet. And look at the whole mess move right there, huh?
Second and goal. See, but that's where the penalty hurts you, because without the penalty, you might have crossed the goal line. That might have been a scoring play,
well, yeah.
Especially with big 99 had he been in there to make the push. Taj Washington in the backfield. Again, he is a Shane Lee-type player. He's that good. They're going to give it to Washington. He's got the hole on the right side. He pushes, and they block it quickly. Someone stepped into that hole and stuffed him. And it looks like the stuff came from Jahaz Thomas.
Well, there's your counter look. He stays vertical inside. I don't think he got a very good mark there. They're going to mark it right at about the 3-yard line. He might have got down to about the 2. Any way you look at it, it's going to bring up 3rd and 3.
Third and goal.
And goal, excuse me, 3rd and goal.
Again, Washington, Taj Washington, a very strong back, 5'10", 210 pounds, a senior. Don't have his official yardage for the night, but he's got to be well over 100. Gets caught from behind, pushes forward, still on his feet, and pushed back with a great second effort. And it took a number of players to bring him down, but the last player to grab him and throw him to the ground was Jahaz Thomas again. He stuffed that hole the first time.
Well, Smaj Walker does a great job from his linebacker position, stepping up and making the hit in the backfield, and then everybody then rallied to Taj Washington to allow him to get knocked down at about the 2-yard line. So East Ascension has a decision to make.
Yeah,
right
they
now.
got to call a timeout and talk about it. What would you do right here? Tough one, because you've got to Look, you've got an explosive offense, and you've got a guy who can throw the ball. They haven't thrown it a whole lot. Hudson Browning can throw it. But
you know, I think you got to come away with points. I think I would take the 3 right now and just make sure I get my defense right to be able to come out there and we played good defense all night. East Ascension says, let's put my defense back out there and let's let them play. Make sure we come away with points. That would be me. Some people are saying, well, you're too conservative. But you know what? It's
No, let me tell you. Hey, that's what I call playing it by the book. And sometimes the old book is still better than all the analytics and all the newfound computer stuff that they're using.
Look, the other thing you got to remember, you see
that
ball is at the 2.5, maybe 3 yard line. Destrehan can score in one play from there, right?
That's right.
I got to make sure I've got points coming out from. Now this is me, guys.
And remember this. Remember this. Your back, who's going to get that ball, is not at the 2 yard line. He's standing back at the 7. So the ball, the line of scrimmage at the 2 yard line, that back still got to go 7 yards or more. The score, they're going for it. Washington in the backfield with Browning, the quarterback, who's going to roll to the right, being chased from the back. He's in trouble. He will throw it down low, incomplete. And Destrehan holds East Ascension out of the end zone as they turn it over. The Spartans do on downs.
Great look at it. They're going to move the pocket, sprint him out to the right. He's being chased by guys in Garnet. Right there, pressure is applied. It looked like, I think that was Collage Cobbins that was applying the pressure right out there on the edge. Look, few plays make up every football game. That's going to be one of the plays that both teams will look back on, whoever wins this football game, and say that was a key play in either our success or not having success. That was one of the key plays.
Exactly. So from their own 3 yard line, with Hudson Browning standing in his own end zone, Destrehan will call timeout. 21 seconds to play in the third quarter. 14-7. Destrehan with the lead by a touchdown. East Ascension. You know, I can see it both ways. The field goal would have been nice. It would have been the conservative way. It would have gone by the old book. But you probably, you've got an 0-2 start against some very good football teams in Zachary and West Monroe, teams that will be vying for state championships. And East Ascension's thinking, man, if we can go for it here, we've got momentum. If we just going to roll the dice. And unfortunately, 7 came up.
That's why the guys in Vegas always win. You've heard it. Doesn't the house always win?
The house always wins.
There you go. Couple scores real quick. East St. John and Lord Beaconsville Landry. East St. John scoring a lot of points, 40-0 at halftime.
Here's your first down play. He's going to throw from deep in the end zone. The defender falls, and it's incomplete, intended for Jabari Mack. And the defender is having a little trouble getting up. That looks like Brennan Thompson, I believe. Yeah, he's cramping.
Yeah, Jackson Fields wants that back again. He knew he missed one right there, right? So he overthrew it.
Oh, my goodness.
He knew he had his receiver, and what even added to that would have been the cherry on top of the cake as the defensive back cramps up and falls down right there.
Couldn't chase him. Couldn't go get him.
Yeah, while we're waiting for them to take care of Brennan Thompson, a couple scores. Lafayette Christian 30, Jesuit 10. Ooh. Hot one up in Baton Rouge. Catholic High, Baton Rouge 21. University Lab 21.
Wow.
That's a good football game by 2 really good football teams. Right there. A couple of others. Let's see if we can find that Holy Cross score for you there. I know you're interested in that. The Battle of the Parish.
Big Battle of the Parish this year because 2-0 teams, 2 undefeated teams battling Holy Cross and Chalmette.
How about this one? Edna Carr 34, Warren Easton 0. I won't say a word there. I'll just let that sink into everybody for a moment how good Carr High School is.
Because Warren Easton is no slouch.
Correct.
They are a good football. Jerry Phillips has built a great football program on Canal Street.
Yes, he has. St. Aug 7, Zachary 7. Still looking for that Holy Cross score. I'll come back with it in a few minutes.
Second down. 10 from the 3. They can't put it in play yet because right now Brennan Thompson, the defensive back who cramped up for East Ascension, is still walking off the field. There you see him. And they had to let him get off. He's walking very gingerly. It's going to hurt for a while. So he is replaced by Ernest Mitchell, a junior defensive back on the right side. Let's see if they throw at him. No, instead they're going to run at him as Shane Lee bounces to the outside, breaks a tackle at the 5, and gets to the 10-yard line and is brought down just past the 10, a yard short of the first down. 3rd down and 1.
That's all Shane Lee. Second effort. He runs through the arms of, it looked like Zachary Jupiter, not wrapping up on that tackle. And how strong is Shane Lee? All 5'8", 215, driving his knees. He runs right through the tackle to pick up extra yardage, and he comes up just 1 yard shy, making it 3rd down and 1. Right?
That's the end of the third quarter. So let me just remind everybody that we want to thank Rhino Shield as our sponsor for the third quarter. Tonight's coverage on Crescent City Sports is brought to you by Rhino Shield Mid-South. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Rhino Shield resists chipping, cracking, flaking, or peeling, and is backed by a 25-year warranty. Folks, that is a good warranty. Get your free estimate. Visit rhinoshieldmidsouth.com or call 833-233-7181. It's 833-233-7181. Lamarck Ford, the sponsor of our first quarter and the fourth quarter coming up. Ascension Parish Tourism, the sponsor of our second quarter. And how about it, Ascension Parish Tourism? Your Spartans have been just terrific tonight. Terrific. They trail 14-7. Could have been 14-14, as Wade, we talked about it. They rolled the dice. Sometimes you got to take a chance. They did, and didn't score down at the 3-yard line. And now here is Destrehan as we start the fourth quarter. Ken Berthelot, Wade Kaiser, Chip Merritt, our producer, Matt Merritt on camera. Third down, 1. Shane Lee, the back. He'll quickly go under center, and Fields, with the quarterback push forward, has the first down by about a half yard. Whew, that was close for them.
Nice surge by the Destrehan offensive line, getting a little movement on those huge guys from East Ascension. That allows Fields to be able to sneak in there and pick up that first down.
From the 14-yard line. As we start the fourth quarter, Destrehan with a 1 touchdown. A fumble picked up by East Ascension. And East Ascension's fired up. They've got the football. Or did they call him down?
I think there was another fumble after he picked the ball up and advanced it. You'll see the first fumble right here off the zone read. There's the read. There's the give. Good read. Good decision. And there's the strip. Ball's picked up by number 34, Shaquan Isom, and I think he fumbles it, but they called him down, I believe. Shaquan Isom picks up the fumble, the first fumble from Shane Lee off the zone read, advances it down to the 10-yard line, and as he goes down, the ball pops out again. And that was all the excitement on the second fumble, but I think they called Isom down.
So if that's the case, then East Ascension has the football.
Well, no, it looks like they're not. They gave it
no,
back
they're
to
not.
Destrehan.
So
okay.
Destrehan had. So they had to call then
the second
Shane Lee down first, or did they call it the second one was the fumble?
The second was the fumble because they're now back to 1st and 10.
All right, so we're back to 1st down and 10. Shane Lee will try it over the right side again, fights his way past the 15-yard line, and is brought down after a gain of about, let's say about 5.
My, oh my, that would have been a game changer for East Ascension, right? To come up with the ball right there, hold on to it, back in scoring position again, and then they fumble it right back.
My goodness. 2nd down a little less than 5, using those 2 backs in the backfield. They will hand it off on the right side, and that is Robinson.
Giving it to Robinson that time on the sweep, the lead sweep, with Shane Lee out in front doing the blocking.
So I'll take that back. They moving the chains. So it's a first down at the 22. We have to go back and see if this is a continuation of the other drive. That's off the fingertips and incomplete of Jabari Mack.
Few drops tonight by Destrehan.
Let's go back for a second. Now, which fumble are we talking?
We had the first fumble by Shane Lee.
Yep.
Ball's picked up by Isom.
He fumbles the
ball. He fumbles the ball. Ball's recovered by Destrehan. 1st and 10 at that point. They ran one play, they got it down, and then they converted. It's 1st and 10 again here.
So now we've got 2nd down and 10. And they got me a little confused on the plays, the way that it all turned out with that fumble. So I'm not quite sure which way it went, but they just moved the chains again, and Destrehan's in control.
There's your RPO. Great timing right there. Great read. They had the leverage by the receiver. Ball's really well delivered by Fields.
Johnny Thiel, good hands, and he's made some big catches in the last 2 weeks. With double backs to block, he's got a wide open man who scoops it in at the 40. That's Thiel again. Thiel with some fancy moves gets caught from behind as he was playing cat and mouse with Deron McZeal, the defensive back. And finally the cavalry came in and helped McZeal, but what a play.
All right, there we go. They fake the screen and they set Thiel up as if he's going to block, and he that continues vertical. It's almost like a double move. Nice little pump fake by Fields. Lays the ball out to Thiel. Thiel runs under it, and they are in business in East Ascension territory.
44-yard pass play gain to him, and this time there's Shane Lee doing what he does best, just pulling his way through people and pushing his way through people down to the 15-yard line, a gain of 6.
You know, look, when they're spreading the ball around, they're getting the ball into their skill people's hands by either passing it or handing the ball off on a sweep or running the inside zone or running RPOs, right? That is when Destrehan is at its best, right? That is when they're able to get big chunk plays and get into a great offensive situation as they are now inside East Ascension territory. We have a player down, I believe, right now for East Ascension, cramping up again.
Yeah, I can't make out the number, but it's just a cramp in the right leg, and they're trying to stretch it out. And, folks, if you've ever had a cramp like that, you know how painful it can be. And
as we're waiting for the injured player to get up, a little score from St. Bernard Parish. Holy Cross 21, Chalmette 14. Good one going on down in the parish tonight.
That's a battle. Coach Scott Watney, Holy Cross graduate 2005. That was the Katrina year, part of that wonderful program back then. And happy to return to his alma mater. And
yeah,
what he's done in 3 short games so far has just been amazing.
Look, I coached against him, right? He was a very good football player. And when he went into the coaching ranks, I knew he was going to do a great job.
Here's the toss into the end zone. Got a man, but he threw it behind him the wrong way. He had that time Jabari Mack open, and Fields needed to throw it to his right. He threw it to his left.
Well, double move. Look at the route. You can see the route at the bottom of the screen by Mack. It's right out the side of our shot. Ball slightly overthrown. Should have thrown
just
it to
a
the
little
inside.
bit. Yep.
Yeah, just
throws it to his
shoulder.
inside. That's right. Throws it to the inside shoulder, and that's an easy catch for a touchdown.
I think Jackson Fields looked up and couldn't believe how wide open he was.
Remember now, Fields, like the East Ascension quarterback Browning, are sophomores. So this is the third game of their careers that they start. And there's Big 99 jumping. That's Aiden Joseph.
Well, a little too quick. Offsides are going to move the ball 5 yards. Battle of the megaphone going on, I believe, on the West Bank at Archbishop Shaw. Archbishop Shaw leads Archbishop Rummel 36-14 in the third quarter.
Wow, that's 4A against 5A. Archbishop Shaw, 4A, trying to build.
That doesn't matter. That's Shaw versus Rummel.
It's Shaw versus Rummel.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what A you are.
No, you're absolutely correct.
I mean, that's the bottom line. That's the battle of the megaphone.
First and goal. Shane Lee. Look at him go. Right side. Made it look easy into the end zone. Touchdown, Shane Lee. A 10-yard touchdown by the big man.
Shane Lee has found off the inside zone tonight the outside bounce. Everything getting clogged up on the inside zone. He's able to use his vision. Look at it. One cut, bounce, and he's gone. Now he's in the secondary. He's going to make you miss in the secondary.
Wow. That's vintage Shane Lee. I lost track of his yardage. We were trying to keep it while doing this, and but he's well over 100, as is Ty Washington for East Ascension. Kick is up. (21-7). Destrehan, as they did last week after struggling a little bit in the first half with John Ehret, have come back in the second half. And I'll tell you, folks, I'd like to give you the plays and the time on that one. That drive started with 21 seconds to play in the third quarter, and it ends with 8:29 here in the fourth. But between the fumble that happened and didn't happen, and the way they set the chains, and all of a sudden it was one play and a first down. So not quite sure on the total drive, but it doesn't matter for Destrehan. What matters for them is they took the ball down, scored, and opened up a 2-touchdown lead over East Ascension. You go back now to where East Ascension from the 3-yard line tried to go for it. Would the points have been the momentum getter on a field goal?
Well, I mean,
wouldn't make a difference. I mean,
you know, you could say yes, you could say no, if, woulda, shoulda, coulda, whatever. You decided to go for it. You didn't convert. Destrehan seems to have the upper hand now. They're playing a lot more relaxed. They're getting the ball spread around to their guys. Whatever was said at halftime in the locker room was the magic elixir. You can see how patient they are now and how at ease they are playing Destrehan football.
Matthew Collins looking for a hole. He thought he had one, and he's caught and almost stripped of the football. Did a good job of holding it, and he is brought down by Jabari Mack.
You know, East Ascension has got to answer. They've got to put some sort of drive together. They've got to get back to running their counters and their inside zones in between the tackles, getting Taj Washington going, burning up some clock, and getting on the board right now. But you've got to realize at 8:24, you know, that really isn't a lot of time for them. They're 2 scores down.
Yeah, and, you know, that's the thing. It really didn't matter whether they would have tried the field goal or made the field goal or not. You'd still be 2 scores down. So it doesn't matter. And against this team, you know, they're probably going to put some more points on the board, you would think, from the 29-yard line on first down.
Browning runs a little zone read of his own right there. Gets a nice read and pops it out there into the secondary for a nice pickup. And now it's going to be second and really, really nice yardage. Look at the zone read, and he's off to the races.
Now, Browning can throw the ball, and he's got the mobility. So you've got the opportunity to do something pretty good here. Look, got 7 yards on that. Second down, 3. Does a good job of making sure everybody's aware of the count, the call, and everything else. They'll go with the big man again, Taj Washington, and he is very close, but not enough for the first down. Third down, 2.
Another little Another little, I guess you would say, change that Destrehan made. They are playing Kalaj Cobbins opposite the back, right? So he is knifing down, coming down from the backside. East Ascension is not getting a body on him.
Watch him. He's at the top of the line, the defensive line. He's lined up at the right end spot, number 3. He's standing, now taking the clutch. You're going to try to run away from him, especially if Anthony Robinson is anywhere around to help. Number 5, whistle. Timeout called, East Ascension, right before the snap. I can see why. This is a big third down with 6 minutes and 54 seconds. You can't afford to make it fourth and anything here. You've got to move these chains because you need 2 scores.
Okay, Kalaj Cobbins is such a good football player. You can do one of 2 things. You can run away from him and let him chase you down, or you take your chances and you run at him and you put one of those big body guys on him, right?
The problem, if you try to run away from him, you've got Anthony Robinson and a couple of other really good ones like Jaron McCall on the line that they can force you either back toward him or make you pay.
So I would take my medicine and I'd run right at Kalaj Cobbins, because I tell you what, he's vicious when he's running you down from behind. It's like a German Shepherd going after a robbery suspect.
All right, watch 3 and 5. You see 5 at the top of your screen. He's standing at about the 44-yard line. And where's Kalaj? Right there on the top side, the right end position as they line up. Look, they're going to shift him over now. What are they doing with him, Wade?
They're putting him opposite the back there. There we go.
3rd down and 3. Here goes Taj Washington running the opposite way, and he is very close. I think he's got the first down. Let's see where they mark it.
They were setting their defense opposite that time, so they were putting Kalaj Cobbins to the opposite side. Because of the strength of the formation of the offensive line at that time. They were putting them to the weak side of the offense.
And more importantly, they got the first down. They moved the chains 40 at the 41-yard line, 6:25. Clock is ticking, 4th quarter. East Ascension needs 2 scores. Man, they've played a good football game. Oh, messed up right there, and Browning just has to protect the football. Big lost yardage on the play. Gideon Bowman and others in for Destrehan.
Looked like they were trying to set up a reverse there, and they just couldn't find the handle on the ball. It gets bumped and knocked. As the first fake, they were trying to fake Taj Washington, knocked the ball to the ground, and oh my goodness, that puts him way behind the sticks, and that's a bind as we have a player down now. It looks like a Destrehan player is cramping.
Well, look, you got a long way to go. You're way behind the chains. This is the drive that's going to either do it or not do it. So you got, in effect, I would think it's 4 down territory. It's only 2nd down, but if something was to happen and they weren't to make it on these next 2 downs, with this, you're under 6 minutes to go. This is the hydration break of the 4th quarter. What would you think, Wade? Would this be 4 down territory at this stage of the game? Down again. You're dealing with one of the top teams in the state, and
well, it's going to
in 5A.
You're going to have to look and see what your down and distance is, right? I mean, if you dial up your 2nd and long distance play here somehow, and you get back within the chains at midfield, you might start thinking 4 down territory, right?
Right.
But if you're outside those chains and you're a long way out, and you're still 2 scores down, you punt that football, try to get a turnover, pin them down deep, make them punt the ball again, and then you're going to have to score and kick an onside kick. It's just, it all depends on what's going to happen on this 2nd down play right here, and where is it going to put you for that 3rd down play, whether you're going to, use 2 downs to get the first down.
Right, remember, it does. Remember, Hudson Browning, East Ascension quarterback, is only a sophomore, 5'9", 182. This is the 3rd game he starts of his career, as is Destrehan's quarterback Jackson Fields, a sophomore. So you've got two inexperienced guys at quarterback who have played almost flawlessly at their positions in this football game. They have done a good job. Maybe a little muff there or two, but not a whole lot. Gets a guy cutting across. That's Mitchell. Can he turn the corner? Mitchell does. Mitchell keeps it alive. Mitchell's got the first down. He is past the 50, and there is a big play on 2nd down and 16. Mitchell, with a big gain, picks up the first down and a little bit more.
You Destrehan, you can't let that happen, right? It's called yard after the catch. You teach your secondary, hey, he catches the ball, fine. Make sure he does not run with the football. That's exactly what happened. That's going to be taught tomorrow on film. You got to tackle that guy, and we can't let them out of a hole with 2nd and long. Catch that ball and run, move the chains, keep their drive alive, and give them hope.
Yeah, it was 16, and I think he got about 19 on the play. So what a great play. Goodness gracious, some of these backs and wide receivers are making just fantastic plays. We've got a timeout on the field, and that just reminds me with 5 minutes and 14 seconds that the fourth quarter tonight is being brought to you by the Lamarck Motor Company in Kenner. The Lamarck Pre-Owned has a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles, all makes and models. We even have great deals for under $12K. Must be a reason. And by the way, next Friday, Crescent City Sports here. We're back in the River Parishes as De La Salle travels to Laplace to meet St. Charles Catholic, a place that Wade Kaiser spent much of his coaching career. It's the Cavaliers and the Comets next Friday night, always live and always free here on Crescent City Sports. Wade Kaiser, you and Lenny Van Gilder will be doing that game. Lenny will be back, and tell you what, you guys are going to have a lot of fun as you return to one of your old stomping grounds.
Yeah, I had a lot of great years at St. Charles Catholic. We won a lot of football games, won a lot of district championships there. You know, a lot of good people at St. Charles Catholic. What a great football program. When I left St. Charles Catholic, Frank Monica took over, and enough said right there, right? I mean, when you see the name Frank Monica, it is, Hall of Famer, just all around.
Hey, he's in the Louisiana State Hall of Fame. He's in the High School Coaches Hall of Fame. He's in the Greater New Orleans Sports All-State Sugar Bowl, Greater New Orleans Sports Hall of Fame. That's him. Here's 1st and 10.
Oh, drop pass right
there.
Yeah,
he dropped it.
That was a big one.
I was looking over there. He dropped it.
Nice ball delivered by Hudson Browning. Just could not pull that ball in. Yeah, getting back to Frank Monica again. What a great mentor he was to me, and what a great football coach. Yeah, I'm going to have a lot of fun going to St. Charles, getting back, seeing some of the people. Some of the best jambalaya in the River Parish is cooked right there by Pancho Roussel, one of the best jambalaya cookers in the River Parishes. Will be stirring that pot, I'm sure. It's going to be a good time with Lenny and I.
Jason Blackburn is the running back. They'll fake to him, throw, and good coverage as it's off the fingers again of one of the players, and limping off the field this time. Wow, that's Caleb Davis, junior fullback. Big enough that if he would have caught it, he could have turned around and probably just pushed his way forward for a few more.
Yeah, ball hit him in the hands too, so that's 2 drops. Hudson Browning right now. Yeah, Hudson Browning right now is telling his guys, hey, look, I can't do any more except throw it into your hands, right? Catch the football, guys. That's big. 3rd down, another big 3rd down play for the Spartans.
Blackburn in the backfield to help protect, and this time nowhere to go but back up to the line of scrimmage, and that's all Browning could do. Good coverage that time. No one to throw it to, and it's 4th down and 10.
That's a coverage sack. Great job by that Destrehan secondary. They're all over it. They're sitting back there in a zone coverage. Great protection by an offensive line from East Ascension. It can only last for so long. Great job then by Jaron McCall, finally pulling down Hudson Browning for the sack.
Got a couple of players down. Destrehan has 1, and I think East Ascension has 1 player down. And again, we can't speculate on if there's an injury or not, but most of the time it's cramping or heat, and that's an example of it right there. That's Jaron McCall.
Well, Jaron McCall was the guy applying the pressure right there. He had fight off the blocks of those big offensive linemen, and then he had to chase Hudson Browning down, and he pulled him down from behind.
Yeah, so he may have cramped up easily, but all district player and one of the real good ones defensively for these Destrehan Wildcats. But more importantly, let's talk about what East Ascension is facing here with 5 minutes and 2 seconds to play, down by 2 touchdowns, 21-7. It's 4th down and 10 at the 49-yard line, just over the midfield stripe in Destrehan territory. And this is probably a by-the-book move. If it's not going to be a fake punt, they've got to punt it back there and then count on their defense to try to stop a team.
With the clock running, now at where it is right now, this is more of your 4-down territory that I would have ventured that they would have gone for.
That's what they might be calling timeout to talk about. Timeout East Ascension with 4 minutes and 38 seconds. I think if you punt the ball, you're not going to get it back with a lot of time on the clock, and you've still got to score 2 touchdowns. So you might decide that this is the play where we either have a chance to come back and win it or we don't. But let's we've got to get 10 yards and move the sticks. They did it before on we had a 3rd and 16.
Well, all that's good and fine, but they let about 20 seconds run off that clock.
Yeah, time is of the essence. You're right. No, you're thinking about that. You're right.
So before they call the timeout, they put their punt team out. Clock is running. They get the punt team out there. They realize maybe it is 4th down situation. Let's put our offense back on. But anywhere between 15 and 20 seconds ran off that clock.
Well,
and they have brought the offense back on the field. It is 4th down territory.
Yeah, this is, and I think this is the right call. But you've got to make 10. So if you're going to throw this football, the receivers have to know where that marker is. It's at the 39-yard line, folks. They've got to get to the 39. Blitz is on. Here comes the house. Browning in trouble. Goodbye. Good night. Turn the lights out right there. They brought the house that time on a big, gigantic blitz. Everybody was coming.
Gideon Bowman was the guy that got home. Should have been a flag for illegal procedure. Receiver left too late. The number 3 receiver from the right-hand side of your screen decided to go a little bit too soon. There was no flag. It was missed. Gideon Bowman comes off the block, gets home for the sack, sets up Destrehan in East Ascension territory with a chance to run out of clock with 4:32. East Ascension cannot stop it.
Yeah, because the illegal procedure would have stopped the clock, right?
Would have stopped the clock.
Would have stopped the play and stopped the clock.
But that's an ease of enforcement. That should have been thrown because you can't leave soon. That's illegal procedure. This is not Canada.
At the 40-yard line of East Ascension, Destrehan with a 2-touchdown lead will probably keep it on the ground with Shane Lee. And Shane Lee from the 40 all the way down to the 38. He will gain 2, and the clock will continue to run. 4 minutes and 20 seconds. And remember, this is a football team. Destrehan, who has a number of streaks going. They have a 16-game win streak, the longest in the state, if you include playoff games and the state championship win over Ruston. But they have a 24 regular season game winning streak, which began back in 2020 with the second game of 2020 in the COVID year. Shane Lee right side. He may go. Flag is thrown. This one may come back. Shane Lee pulled down from behind at the 5-yard line.
Look, he's found a lot of running room on the inside zone and bouncing it out to his right. Yeah, it's coming back with a holding penalty. Let's see if we can see it inside. There it is, right there on number 20. Can't get the number of the Destrehan offensive lineman. Look like the right guard. However, getting back to Shane Lee.
Is that holding
again,
or is that a block in the back?
It looked like a hold. Shane Lee running the inside zone has found a lot of yardage tonight, just bouncing that thing out to his right, getting a nice little quick jump step and then just bouncing it around the outside and then getting out into that secondary untouched.
Hey, college recruiters, he is not committed to anybody because somebody thinks he doesn't have measurables and analytics. Guess what? He does. Measure his heart. The kid can play. Shane Lee. Second half, he'll have over 100 yards in the second half. He'll be over 200 again tonight. Don't have it officially for you. This one snapped over the head of Fields, and he'll go down back at the 37-yard line.
All right, well, if that's going to keep anybody around, a bad snap will keep your opponent around, right? You have a chance to run the clock out here and put the dagger in and it's all over. You can't snap the ball over your quarterback's head, right? You can't have holding penalties.
Well, you're going from 2nd and 18 at the 48-yard line to now 3rd and a
decade.
Yeah, 3rd and a trip to the French Quarter. That's about all you can say here. 3rd and 34. 3rd and 34, but what's working for Destrehan is the clock. 2.5 minutes to play, 2:30 in this game, and they have a 2-touchdown lead. So they just want to keep the ball on the ground, but they'll stop it with a penalty. So here's your procedure penalty that stops the clock with 2:22 to play.
Look, a receiver cannot leave until the ball is snapped, right? You're not listening to the sound of the quarterback. You're not listening to the cadence.
Yep.
You are looking at the ball with your head turned and eyes on the ball. When the ball moves, you move. You can't even hear the quarterback from as far away as you are if you're lined up, depending on your splits at the top of the numbers or at the bottom of the numbers. Oh, my goodness. There are just some things that just drive me nuts.
Now you know why you retired. 3rd and 39 at the 31. On 3rd and 39, they're going nowhere. But again, there's not enough time left in this one now. We're under 2 minutes, 148, 147. So for Destrehan, they will, on the streak side, have won 25 regular season in a row. That's regular season, and will increase their current win streak to 17 games, which includes the playoff games and state championship over Ruston last year. A good Ruston team that's going to challenge again for it this year.
They'll run the clock all the way down. They'll call timeout, and they'll punt the ball.
Now it's not over yet. A lot can happen in 111, but some breaks would have to go.
Or they had the chance to run it out. They get the holding penalty, right? And then they get the snap over the head. Now that's going to obviously force different field position, and it's going to force you to have to punt the football. So, yeah, I mean, it's not over till it's over, right? So you got 111, you punt the ball, you score quick, you quick the onside kick, recover the onside kick, and score quick. That's what you would have to do to get back into this football game.
You know, I've seen a few of those in my lifetime.
I'm sure you have.
Been around long enough to have seen.
You've been around, my man. You have been around.
So, not a lot, but every once in a while it'll happen. It's possible.
I'm sure East Ascension will bring the block right here.
Caleb Johnson, the punter, will be punting from about his own 12 or 13-yard line. Need one more man on the field. So hurrying in is Gideon Bowman. Big rush. And I thought for a moment they would get it. And this one just takes a crazy roll. Wow, that one just hit and picked up speed, and Matthew Collins could only let it go.
Do not let the ball hit the ground.
That's the rule.
Catch the ball, especially in this situation.
You got to come up and catch it right there, and he didn't. 1 minute and 1 second to play for East Ascension, who, folks, I'm telling you, this game was, hate to use this because it's an old adage, but East Ascension played a game that probably closer than this and better than this final score will indicate. But you know what? They played well. They took an opening drive and ate up half of the first quarter. Dominated time of possession in the first half, led 7-0 at the half, and then out of the halftime locker room, Wade, the adjustments were made on the first two possessions. Boom, boom. Touchdowns. And actually, yeah. And after a turnover, first three possessions, and that's when Destrehan put it away.
Well, it was a tale of two halves, as you said. I mean, Destrehan goes in, makes the adjustments. They had to settle down. They had to get back to being patient as well as stop pushing so hard applying a lot of pressure to themselves to be perfect, and they did. They came out and then they played a pretty perfect second half. And then East Ascension, tried to get their running game going, the things that they needed to do to continue on from their success in the first half. And a different Destrehan defense the second half was able to shut down the Taj Washington, show from the first half.
And keep your eyes on number 3 and number 5. You'll be seeing them playing on Saturday afternoons and Saturday nights, folks, in Destrehan uniforms now. But Collage Cobbins, number 3, one of the top defensive players. We've been talking about him all night. He is committed to LSU, and Anthony Robinson's committed to Ole Miss. One more commitment on the Destrehan side. They have an offensive lineman, Jace Mitchell, who is committed to Cincinnati. And, again, the commitments don't mean anything until they sign on February the 7th, and they could sign in the early period in December. But in today's world, when you commit, I'm finding more players keeping the commitment because if something they don't like it after that, they just go to the portal. So I'll keep the commitment, Coach.
The portal has changed everything.
Yeah, I'll keep the commitment till the portal comes into play.
The portal has changed the whole landscape of college athletics, but that's another story for another time.
Destrehan goes to 3-0, and East Ascension falls to 0-3. Next week, East Ascension first will be home hosting Alexandria Senior High. And Destrehan, well, you know what? Destrehan's got a big game next week. We really didn't talk about it a whole lot. It's the Hahnville.
You think that's big?
Yeah, you thought maybe they were looking ahead in the first half. I don't think so. Hahnville.
Yeah, well, that's the...
At Hahnville. So Destrehan is at Hahnville next week.
The premier game in the River Parishes. It's the Battle of St. Charles Parish. Throw all records out. Throw all anything that is... important from the standpoint of, statistics and things of that nature. It's Hahnville, Destrehan. It's the Battle of St. Charles Parish, and it's going to be a great one.
Well, that's going to wrap it up from here again for, you know what? Before we wrap it up, let me remind you, folks, next week it'll be Wade Kaiser and Lenny Van Gilder at St. Charles Catholic as the De La Salle Cavaliers and the St. Charles Catholic Comets will do battle. It's always a lot of fun. We hope you enjoyed this one tonight. I want to thank our sponsors, Lamarck Ford, the Ascension Parish Tourist Commission, and Rhino Shield for all they did. Thanks for joining us tonight. Crescent City Sports, as we said, is back in the River Parishes next week for that big game with St. Charles and De La Salle. For Wade Kaiser and Matt Merritt and Chip Merritt, our producer and cameraman tonight, I'm Ken Berthelot saying thanks for being with us. The final score, once again, is Destrehan staying undefeated at 3-0 on the season, handing East Ascension, their third loss of the year, 21-7. Destrehan 21, East Ascension 7. From Wildcat Stadium here on the campus of Destrehan in Destrehan, Louisiana. Good night, everybody.